All right, friends, have we all made it inside here? Are everybody ready to go? Okay, welcome. It's great to see our Fairmont athletic family here. Once again, I'm Dan Brookins, KSUM, KFMC Radio. Always a pleasure to help out Coach Mahoney and the Hall of Fame committee to do these events. Fairmont Hall of Fame was started in 1990, which is the year I graduated high school, and it's hard for me to believe that I'm seeing faces now that'll be inducted today that were a part of my broadcast career when I began. We moved to Fairmont in 1998, and I started doing the Fairmont football games in 2003, and it's pretty spectacular to see that we have a lot of young men and women from that era who are going to be part of the Fairmont Hall of Fame now. It's pretty cool. So welcome one and all. It's good to have you here. We'll start off with Coach Mahoney. We'll bring him up, and he'll introduce you to some of our current star athletes and MVPs and give you a little more background. I think we've got a great presentation. I think you're really going to enjoy the videos that Jonas Nissen and company have come up with here today. So welcome aboard. Let's bring up our activities director. By the way, today his 127th victory as head coach of the Fairmont Cardinals, Matt Mahoney.
And I'm still sweating, so we'll get through this. But before I get into my activities report, one thing I want to say, we kind of did something new 2 years ago with our videos. This year Jonas Nissen does our multi-video class here at the school, and he knocked it out of the park. One thing that I will say is when all the inductees came in, it was one of the best parts of my summer. And I honestly say this because we just had a good time together. I think Sarah, we laughed and laughed and laughed, and we walked around, and Mike Hested, he's like, oh yeah, I remember in here and here and here, and the stories just really started to flood out when I was meeting with them. And I really enjoyed spending that 20 to 30 minutes with you, even though Eric Hugeson probably took about 10 or 12 different retakes during his speech. So sorry, Hugo, but it's all good. But we've had a lot of good things going on here at Fairmont High School, so I'm just going to give you a little update here in the last 2 years, and then we'll get into our videos and we'll get you guys on your way. This year does mark the 26th anniversary of our Fairmont Cardinal Hall of Fame. Before we get to the inductees, I do want to update everyone on the past 2 years of Fairmont activities. The school district has made a lot of changes to the scenery around here. In the summer of 2023, the football entrance was redone. The spectator entrance, which you guys walked in today, was also upgraded. In the spring of 2024, we opened the doors to our new softball building that has concession stands, that has bathrooms, and it has storage down there. This past summer, we had a major facelift in our gymnasium. After 53 years, we finally painted the ceilings, the walls, we sanded the floor, we restained the floor, as well as we wrapped the doors. We have new conference banners, and we put in a new scores table. And we haven't even had a home volleyball game because we wanted to showcase it and we wanted to do it right. And this coming Tuesday will be our first home volleyball game. On the field, we've had a lot of accomplishments. Our baseball team won the Class AA state championship in the spring of 2022. Lincoln Bechter and Landon Meyerdirk were named to the All-State team. We have cross-country and track star phenom Macy Hansen, which is here. I'm going to make you stand up in a little bit, Macy, but has been a state qualifier in cross-country and track and field, as well as placed in many events at that next level. The football team has reached the state tournament in the fall of 2022, as well as wrestling and girls track and field. The boys track and field team this past spring ended up getting a wild card berth, and I think, Jesse, what place did we finish? Sixth. So we got a really good thing going here at Fairmont. In the spring of 2023, one of the coolest things that we did in the spring of 2023 is I used to teach Phi Ed, and I was down in our main gym all the time, and I'd stand there as the kids are playing badminton and whatnot, but I'd always look up at our red banners because they tell the history, they tell a story of so many good people and coaches, and it's really fun. But in the spring of 2023, we finally got a conference championship in softball. So it was our first conference championship for softball. We were able to get a banner up there. The Old Southwest and the Old South Central Conference came together in the fall of 2014 to create the Big South Conference. This fall, we accepted 2 new schools into our conference, Belle Plaine and Tri-City United, which brings our conference total up to 15. So we really stretch from, as far west of Pipestone and Laverne, almost to Sioux Falls, all the way to the suburbs of the cities with Belle Plaine. Fairmont's in a really good place. We're really in the middle of the conference as far as enrollment goes, but we really do have a great thing going here at Fairmont. We currently have 22 activities offered at Fairmont. I graduated in 1999 and we didn't have 22. We had maybe 15 or 16. So we've continued to try and stay up with the times and make sure that we got some type of activity for some type of student athlete. We also have 12 fine arts activities. We have numerous student-led groups at Fairmont High School. Just in the past couple years, our speech team has been dominant. Our debate team is off and running. Our trap team won the state title. Our robotics is a well-oiled machine. We really have a lot of great things going here at Fairmont High School. At this time, I would like to recognize the coaches that are here tonight. So if you're a head coach, please stand up. Come on, coaches, stand up. Yep. Got Jesse Walters down here, track and field coach. Jared Thompson, our head boys basketball coach. And Liz Lowry is our volleyball coach. MVPs, would you guys please stand up? I'm not going to make you come up and give a speech. Just please stand up so I can recognize you. Okay. Right over here on your left, you have Bella Larson. In the back, you have Tiffany Lowry, Misty Gertis, Macy Hansen, Jaden Montgomery, and Elijah Johnson. Let's give them a round of applause. I'd also like to thank all the sponsors that put this together. This is a big event. There's a lot of things that go into this. We have a Hall of Fame committee that we meet probably once about every other month, and there's just a lot of planning that goes into this. This is a very, very special group of people that I get to work with, but also to be able to come and highlight 9 former athletes, coaches. It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of work, but I really, truly love being here, so thank you very much for coming tonight. At this time, I am going to pass the microphone back to Dan, and we're going to get the program started. One thing I will say before we go here, kind of how this will all shake out here, we'll have the inductees pick somebody to speak in behalf of them. So that person will come on up, they will speak, we will play the video. Once the video is done, the inductee can come up. We'll give you your trophy, your plaque, and then you guys can head back to seat and we'll go on to the next one. So I hope you guys enjoy it, but most importantly, thank you for coming out tonight.
Our first inductee tonight is Coach Lauren Dunham, and he will be introduced by Dan Chicos. Come on up, Dan.
Now's not the time to be so quiet, you'll make me nervous. My name is Dan Chickas, in case you don't remember me or know who I am. It's been great just to be here and to see you all again and see the familiar faces. And just to reiterate what Matt said, this school looks great. When we walked in, my wife, first thing she said is, look at how clean this place is. It's amazing. You guys do a good job. I spent my career in Fairmont with my family teaching English from 1969 to 2006. Over the years, parents, teachers, coaches decided Fairmont has been a good place to settle and raise a family. So did we for 37 years. And I talked to former students and even my own daughters. They say how lucky they were to be here and in this environment. Today we're honoring athletes and coaches in the 26th recognition and induction into the Fairmont High School Hall of Fame, and they'll be honored for their accomplishments in track, cross-country, basketball, football, and coaching. I went to the Hall of Fame website and I counted 20 coaches, starting with Dick Potvin. I don't know if anybody will remember Dick, but he was good. He was an interesting gentleman. And one of the first really mentors I had when I started teaching. All the way up to Matt Mahoney. And of course, he's a good guy also. And, you know, you think about them and the dozens of athletes that are also listed in the Chronicles of Fairmont. This year, Lauren Dunham, the veteran men's and women's tennis coach, was selected for induction into the Hall of Fame. He's referred to as a veteran sometimes, and he's also referred to as a legend, which I think is also a good description of him. I had the privilege of coaching with Lauren for over 20 years and being his friend for over 50 years. We taught together, socialized together when we had time, and even got to unwind with an occasional game of cards on Thursday night. We not only have a common interest in tennis, but also enjoyed books, movies, and just life in general. And we would go into some good discussions on everything from the Minnesota Twins, and this is on our trips back from and to legend tennis meets. And Lauren was always looking for a way to involve the kids on the bus, to keep them busy, to keep them entertained. And Mike Hested, he could probably account for some of those times we had. Over the years, another issue about Lauren is over the years on the walk from the high school locker room to the tennis courts, which could be quite a ways, Lauren would often comment how fun it was to see Cardinal Sports Complex filled with athletes practicing or playing. And it's quite a sight when you have every venue full of students and the amount of involvement that there is. Lauren has had individuals and teams advance to higher level tournaments. He wanted them to be successful, but he also wanted them to develop character and skills which they could take with them after high school. One such skill was how to deal with mistakes. This quote comes from the USTA Code of Conduct. Be your own best friend, enjoy your good shots, and forget the poor ones. From time to time, I meet former students, and I ask them if they had a teacher or coach who had imparted some important things in their life, and they always reply, Coach Dunham. When Lauren was not busy, which was very seldom, teaching and coaching, he was also active in things like Kiwanis, Dollars for Scholars, Fairmont Planning Commission, Church Council, President of the Fairmont Historical Society, and others. The word coach can be used for a person or an act. I've seen Lauren interact with students and adults, and these words come to mind: his patience, his knowledge, his motivation, and his respect. Lauren is going to give an 8x10 photo on display in the Hall of Fame section in the second floor of the gym near the concessions. Back in the 70s, players like John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors and their coaches changed the game of tennis, making it more exciting and popular. And it continues to evolve to this day. It was fun and rewarding coaching with Lauren. I will end with a quote that I think is appropriate. A good coach can change the game, but a great coach can change our lives. Thanks, Lauren, for all your dedication and your work with kids. Thank you.
Mr. Dunham, you have had probably all three of us Bittman girls, and you were always somebody that we could, if we needed to, go to. So calm and collected, who actually lived by me as well. So I grew up around your neighborhood, and you just have been such a great person, a great teacher. And I remember when 9/11 happened, I was in your classroom and I got pulled out just to make sure that I knew that my parents were okay, and you were there to comfort me and to make sure that I was okay, and that just meant the world to me. So thank you for all that you've done, all that you do. You were amazing.
Some of my fondest memories of Mr. Dunham, I was able to have him as a teacher in high school. I had him for my poli-sci course, my senior year spring semester, and I'll never forget, Mr. Dunham seemed like an intimidating guy right away when you'd sign up for his classes, but he was one of my favorite teachers. I only had him for that one semester, but the respect I gained from Mr. Dunham was huge, and he's just always had a calm sense in the classroom, always had full control of the classroom, and even talking about political things at times, things can get heated, as we know, but Lauren always kept a calm demeanor and sense of middle ground on all of that. So appreciated Mr. Dunham like crazy.
So first off, Mr. Dunham in class, so welcoming, right? And again, my first year here was sophomore year, and I had him in a history class. And Mr. Dunham, the way he engaged with history, the way he engaged with his students, made it interesting. It was always such a classroom that you look forward to every single day. And as somebody who was kind of getting into history and kind of enjoying it before I moved, he really opened my eyes, and honestly, probably without hurting anybody else's feelings, definitely one of my favorite classes that I ever had here in Fairmont. As a current / former English teacher, I'll never forget the first time I ever I was asked to cite a paper, and it was in Mr. Dunham's class, and I must not teach it very good as a 7th, 8th, and 9th grader before I moved. But I had no idea how to cite, and I'll never forget the look on Mr. Dunham's face when I tried to show him my index card with the citation, and he's like, that's completely wrong. And so I appreciate his patience with this former Iowan and moving to Minnesota to cite a paper for sure.
Enjoyed his classes. I would say, honestly, this is the truth. He taught econ and history, and the reason I got involved in econ in school, I mean, I obviously loved accounting and it was easy for me and things like that, but he was a big reason why I was like, I love economics, like the way he did it. And the history piece, I'm a big history buff too. That's my grandpa taught history too, social studies. So me and him always clicked, loved the classes. They were always enjoyable. I always probably knew a little bit more history than everybody else. Maybe that's why he liked me a little bit more, but never had one bad experience with him. Always enjoyed being in those classes, and big reason why I got into econ in college. So.
Mr. Dunham. I wish he were still present in my day-to-day to help explain political things to me. I loved the way he was so even keel and presented his works, you know, from historical perspective and then day-to-day perspective, and was very much a moderator. Like, let's hear your ideas, let's hear your thought. I remember being in his classroom, like, it wasn't a back and forth, like who's right or who's wrong. It was like a discussion, like let's build on each other. Let's take these ideas to the next level and come together, which was really cool.
I think one thing I especially remember about Mr. Dunham was walking into his classroom. It really felt like, I didn't know at the time, but it felt like I was in a college classroom. The way he approached things, he was open-ended. He always asked his students what they were thinking, what was their reaction to something. And that approach, I think, is so important because it's hard to do. It takes a lot of effort. And it wasn't until I actually got to college that I realized what he was doing and how his style lent to that and how that really helped me prepare for that. And it's something that I think is a big reason why a lot of people really enjoyed having him as a teacher so much. It's because I think he respected his students so much and he wanted to know what they thought and he wanted to go about his classroom in a specific way, and he was excellent at that.
I was lucky enough to play varsity tennis as an 8th grader, and I remember vividly, you know, when it came to tennis match day, that Coach Dunham would bring the other 6 guys in their little minivan and come over to the middle school and pick me up, and we'd go to our meets. But I think, you know, we were riding the wave of popularity of tennis, and Coach Dunham, I think, was. I got to witness him, learn and create and grow as a tennis coach. I tell you, 'cause when we were coming through the program, we spent a lot of time, in the van, and he was reading every book he could about tennis. And I know that he was going to Coach Wilkinson's, the Gustavus tennis coach, who's legendary, going to his camps and picking up tidbits and always learning. And I'm telling you, I had, just incredible conversations. I remember, the time we spent on the minivan, talk about a crazy cat. I mean, this guy, is an encyclopedia of baseball knowledge of all things, just a Renaissance man. He was, I really enjoyed, our conversations, and he was a breath of fresh air and a fantastic coach and, a great mentor. I really enjoyed, the time that I got to spend, with him.
Please welcome our newest member to the Fairmont Cardinal Hall of Fame, Coach Lauren Dunham.
I'm Lauren's wife, Deanne, and I'm going to speak for Lauren this evening. Lauren would like to thank the committee for the honor of his nomination and induction into the Fairmont Athletic Hall of Fame. Lauren got into coaching by way of his good friend and fellow teacher, Bill Perrin. Bill was a coach before Lauren and actually taught Lauren how to play the game. Lauren would like to thank his assistant coaches, Dan Chickas and Dick Tromenhauser, for their expertise and friendship. He would like to thank the families of the tennis players who spent countless hours watching and cheering on their team players. For Lauren, the mothers of those players played an important and integral part in the home games as they provided tables of food for him. That's what Lauren thought anyway. He was always first to the table. Thanks to Charlie Sorrells, who was always at the home games to report outcomes in the paper. He would take Lauren's calls after away games to be sure scores got in the paper the next day. Most importantly, Lauren would like to acknowledge and thank all of the players on his teams. Your dedication and drive to constantly improve gave Fairmont some very fine tennis teams during those years. It also produced wonderful memories for Lauren.
Just thanks to my bride, who has to listen to me a lot when I'm. It's a real thrill to be part of a program like this one, and it's a real thrill, especially to have good athletes and others who make the sport great. Thank you very much.
Once again, let's give a big hand to Coach Dunham and his family here for being here today. Our second inductee here into the Hall of Fame from the class of 2006 is Mike Wubena. I started broadcasting Fairmont football games in 2003. We had a chance to talk with Coach Cody on the radio today, and we relived a few of those memories of that particular team. And I don't have many instances where over the years I've given a nickname to an athlete that they didn't already have from someone else. But whenever he ran the football and reeled off one of his magic kind of plays, I just said, "There goes Magic Mike." And here's the thing, though. This is 2004 and 2005, and Magic Mike did not come out until 2010. We should have trademarked that. We wouldn't even have to have jobs now. But that was the way he ran the football for sure. It was definitely magic, and I've got a few play-by-play calls of his saved from that whole time, because he's definitely one of the best that I've seen at that. And well, we'll probably hear about his wrestling exploits a little bit too. But to introduce Mike Wubena, we have Amber Hansen.
Better move the mic down to my level. As Mike's older sister, I see the past slightly differently than many when I think of my brother. Like, I remember when he was a toddler, and actually he really wanted to be a cowboy. He would wear a coonskin cap, cowboy boots, and a gunsling on a rocking horse watching westerns. You also would not know that some of his best interceptions and historic juke spin moves actually started at a grass lot in Grenada with some older boys during daycare, or that we didn't know much about wrestling when he started as a first grader, but it turns out it was the perfect place for his untethered energy and his competitive edge. He can still be caught sometimes sneaking a single leg takedown on one of us at a family gathering. As soon as school sports started, it was easy to see his drive to be his best. His talents were obvious to anyone that got their eye on him. With each year that passed, each coach, teacher, competitors, and teammates, his passions grew as he absorbed everything he learned. At home, he seldom rested, and ironically, as an adult, his kids seldom let him rest now either. We were constantly being asked to play something with him, and if we wouldn't, he would just go out and play in his zone with a ball against a wall or off a roof, or wrestle with his Hulk Hogan doll. No way could we count how many times he hiked at a ball so he could run out for a pass, or how many games of pig I played with him on a tiny little hoop that hung on the dining room door. When he was old enough to sit still and actually watch sports, he would be glued watching the Hawkeyes, the Packers, or my parents were taking us to sporting events or coaching us. First in Grenada as Mustangs, and then making the move to Fairmont, because they knew Mike would have the best opportunities here as a Cardinal. His wheels were always spinning. He wanted to learn it all. The rules, the strategies, the best routes, the reasons behind the plays, and of course the stats. Because his memory is like an Excel spreadsheet, hidden with all of his best ideas, his favorite highlight reels, and records of past and present that he could rattle off for you. When we traveled down to my family's hometown in Iowa, he would spend time throwing passes with our cousins and passionately watching or talking sports with our uncles. Our parents taught us as persistence and learning from not only our mistakes, but our elders. So we loved having our grandpa, who was a high school coach and teacher himself, sit down and fill us with his calm wisdom. Mike would listen intently, and they would go through his old football playbooks or discuss the Hawkeyes roster that year. In high school, he would have a thorough review of Mike's performances post-game on Friday nights. Charlie Sorrells always wrote the best articles about Mike, and recently said that Mike was one of the most elusive and effective all-purpose players in the history of the Fairmont Cardinals. Friday nights were magic. The crunch of the leaves, the chill in the air, the camaraderie at spaghetti suppers spilled right onto the field and the bleachers. The Coach Me Coach chant and watching the boys raise their helmets filled our fans with heart. Pride is an understatement when I review the history of these numbers. Mike left Mahoney Field in 2005, having set more football records and given more awards than I could name. Rushing records with a season high of 1,717 and a career total of 4,088. He was the first player in school history to rush for more than 1,000 yards in 3 consecutive seasons. He rushed for 26 touchdowns in 1 season and 53 in his career. Mike made a mark on all sides of the game. He set all-purpose records at a total of 2,443 yards in 1 season and hit a career of 5,771 yards. He crossed in the end zone for 31 touchdowns in 1 season and 62 in his career. He scored 190 points in 1 season and a total of 380 points. As a Cardinal, Mike was named All-Conference 3 times, was a 2-time All-State player, a 2-time Sentinel Player of the Year. His class entered the football program on the edge of 6 losing seasons, but left as 2-time conference champs. Mike would also like to make a final note that he never lost a game to Blue Earth. The only thing that took the sting out of the end of a football season was the smell of sweaty wrestling mats. As a 7th grader, Mike hit the high school lineup in wrestling, having attended countless tournaments with the Fairmont Youth Wrestling Club. He had titles as 2-time junior freestyle state champ and a junior Greco state title on his belt already. But his high school debut in 2001 at 103 pounds led him right to the state tournament where he finished 4th. I don't believe I have ever screamed so loud. Once was not enough, and Mike fought for a bid to the state wrestling tournament 4 more times. He took home 5th as a freshman, back-to-back runner-up spots as a sophomore and a junior, and finished his senior wrestling season as 3rd in the state. On the mat, he set school records in takedowns, personal points, and team points. Not only was Mike's personal record 201 wins and only 26 losses, but as a team captain, the team succeeded under the Queasley coaching staff as 3-time section champs and 3-time conference champs. Mike was nominated and honored by the Guillotine's elite title of academic all-state wrestler, and only given to student athletes who succeeded both in the classroom and on the mat. One of the most important parts of wrestling is mental toughness, and it definitely shaped Mike's personality in many ways. He said about himself, "You learn to be humble, you see other athletes struggle and you go to their side and you build up their confidence. You learn to stand on your own 2 feet, and you know if you want to get better, you should get to the weight room and train more, because you get from a sport what you put into it." I remember that. Mike motivated himself out the door to the weight room, out the door in a plastic sweatsuit to jog, out the door to camps and volunteer when he wasn't required to. He knew the work that it would take. At the end of high school, he had earned 11 high school letters. He was a 2-time KUIC Prep Athlete of the Week and continued to lead off the field in academics as well. During his sophomore and junior year, Mike joined the track team. Coach Bonk said he could have gotten special attention in individual events, but he enjoyed the relays, training and encouraging his teammates to the finish line. His relay team in the 4x400 were state qualifiers during his sophomore year and went on to take 4th place in the 4x400 and 4x800 during his junior year. During his senior year, Mike chose to take a season on the baseball diamond and was confident in telling me that he caught every ball in center field that year. Track coach Bob Bonk also was a leading factor in Mike's nomination and choosing as an outstanding young adult by the Fairmont Women of Today. Bob said about Mike, "In my 35 years, I have rarely encountered a role model as good as Mike. He is an outstanding athlete, but that is not what makes him. It's his effort in all areas of his life, his community, his team attitude. He is humble and gracious. He does not expect preferential treatment, and he actually prefers to modestly back away from the spotlight." Mike, I hope you know that we loved living your glory days with you, but I am most proud of you today for the way you lead your family, and you teach not only your children, but Brooke and I's children, and the many youth you coach about not just the sports they play, but the way the youthful journey they're in can turn into lessons about life and help those kids become fruitful members of a society like you have been. We are lucky to have you. I might sneak in just a few words by Troy Cody that only he could poignantly say himself.
Mike Wibina, 2006. Football and wrestling, and I guess you could maybe throw track in there. My mom and dad had me very involved in athletics from the very beginning, mainly to reduce energy. But specifically, my mom was very involved in athletics in high school. My grandpa coached high school football, high school basketball, high school track. They had season tickets to the Iowa Hawkeyes. My uncles, my aunts, my cousins had very successful athletic careers. Being competitive, being around athletics has always been a very, very vocal part of our entire family. My grandpa, Mike, was always really close with him. Some of my best memories are going to the Iowa Hawkeye football games. 2-hour drives, just me and him. Definitely team dynamic. I think understanding that people have different personalities and people live different ways, and being able to bring that into the real world has been a blessing. Respect. You don't know everything. And there's a lot of people out there that know more than you. And then kind of with that too, humbleness. The world is very big. There's a lot of talented people. And being able to be humble because you might be on the other side of that coin someday is something I think that's helped me a lot. I always tell the kids during sports, I got the 3 things. Do your best, work hard, and have fun. I worked my butt off. I remember running the hallways in this school by myself many a night to make sure I made weight the next day and next Saturday morning. And that's just something you carry with you, of the no quit. And it's probably even, it's just second nature. You don't even know you have it. It's just something your family instills in you, and you just do it. It just becomes who you are. My 8th grade year, I didn't make it to state. Tough year. Freshman year, came back, got 5th. Sophomore year, just getting going. We were going to Waseca. It was senior night in Waseca. If anybody goes to wrestling matches in Waseca, they shut the lights off, they bring the lights down. I was a sophomore, I was wrestling a senior. He was a returning state champ coming back. I mean, the gym was full. I mean, they had a good team, it was packed house. So me, sophomore, wrestling returning state champ, in the light, or in the dark with the one light, took him to overtime, took him down, ruined his senior night. I think there's a video of it out there somewhere of me flexing and him just having his head down and, beat the returning state champ. And I think that kind of set me up to say, hey, I am good. I'm better than maybe your average kid. And weirdly, senior nationals, I had a tough finish to my senior year, got third, didn't hit the podium at the top, but went to senior nationals anyway. I qualified from getting second my sophomore year and my junior year, and Tom Queasley, my coach, took me out, just me and him. Flew out to Pittsburgh, stayed in a hotel room, and I was one match away from becoming an All-American. But I think where I take back from that is I made it to the quarterfinals. I wrestled a kid from Idaho, got beat 1-0. He ended up being a 4-time All-American, Division I All-American. Wrestled a guy that, was a 2-time All-American in college. And that experience being with a bunch of guys that were just all about wrestling. My parents went there. I didn't have pressure. It was probably one of the funnest meets I ever had in my life, and I wrestled well. I beat multiple state champions, and football is a really funny one, and I tell this story all the time. Maybe not necessarily anything about that happened during the season or even my sophomore, junior, senior years, but so it was an all-star game. I had a really good game. I played corner. I didn't go play running back because there was a lot of good running backs in the state. I played corner. Awesome game. Adam Weber's the quarterback for it wasn't north-south, it was outstate, in-state, so we were playing cities kids. Adam Weber was the quarterback. He went up three years, started at MSU, or Minnesota, University of Minnesota. And there was a guy that went, he actually played basketball against our guys. He came down, his name was Freddie Coleman. He was 6'4". He went and played basketball at NDSU. So this is like your aha moment. They're on the goal line. I'm one-on-one with Freddie Coleman, and they're running fade route, right? It's fade route. I'm right on him, feel him, fade route, ball's way up in the air. I'm like, there's no way he's going to catch this thing. I just kind of, you kind of look up, and he is up there, one-handing it, catches it, brings down with it, and it's just like, that's when you're like, holy cow. It was a great experience before I went to college, put it that way. It's like, this is a big world. There's a lot of athletes out there. And weirdly, that's one of my most vivid memories. And then, that game playing with the guys like Carl Klug, he played running back on our team, but he played in the league for 6 years for Tennessee Titans, went to Iowa. Those are things that you can't pass those up. The specific game's probably Marshall. That was the year we were ranked high. Our senior year, they were ranked high. We went out there. We actually never lost to Marshall when I was in high school. So I don't want to say we were underdogs, but we were expected to win, but they took the run game away. They were not going to let us run the ball. I think Eric threw for the record that night, and I think I had almost 200 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. We did a flea flicker. It was just fun to win a game a different way and play a different way. And, a lot of times, you kind of ran the same offense for so many. I loved that run and gun, so it was kind of fun to do that. And it was just a really cool memory. State wrestling, honestly, every single year, I got to go 5 years, thankfully. Wrestling is a very lonely sport. Wrestling for Fairmont was even more lonely. There would be many times where I'd be the only guy that would win a match, but I still have great memories from that. Struce never made it to state, but he'd always come up. He'd always stay in the hotel room with me. John Wilson, he was coaching at the time. God, he always made it fun. I probably shouldn't say this, but Balcom was my coach my 7th grade year. Pete made it his senior year. It was the only year I went to state with somebody else from Fairmont. Balcom took us to the Minnesota campus, and we went to his old frat house. You think back about all these things you do, it's like, I don't know if we should have been doing that, but Tom always made it fun, made my family feel really comfortable. Stayed outside of town, and I had a ton of family that would come. Grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles. Always got them hotel rooms, and then back in the day too, the cheerleaders could go, so Deb was always up there. And my senior year, I got 3rd, so you're down and out, you're beat up, But at the time, there was some guys had graduated early, and they were up at school, and then my best friend was a year younger than me, so he was already up at the U. Those guys came and grabbed me that night, and took me, and you just forget about everything, so those are the things that you remember. Do your best, work hard, have fun. because it goes fast. 20 years flies by. People don't love you because you're a good athlete or because you're talented at whatever you do. They love you because you're a good person. Get people in your corner that when stuff hits the fan and times are tough and rough, they're waiting for you to help you. So left school, went to Augie, scholarship for wrestling and football. Realized that I needed to focus on wrestling. I had a lot of opportunity there. Sophomore year would be your redshirt freshman year. I was having a great year, but had this girl that I dated in high school and couldn't get away from her, and she was in the cities, and I got homesick, and it just felt like it was time. I was cutting a lot of weight. I wasn't having fun. Probably regret leaving. I would have had a lot of success, but you know, you make decisions and you move on. So I transferred to Gustavus, and I was going to play football again. So I ended up graduating from Gustavus. I played football, but I blew my knee out. And then we had our daughter, you know, my senior year of college, so priorities changed a little bit. But graduated from Gustavus with public accounting and financial economics degree, and I've been straight finance from there. Ross Hunwardson hired me at Waitronics, and I was at the vet clinic, and now I'm at LB Pork, and just worked in Fairmont. And mom and dad, number one, it came to everything. Senior nationals, I say, you know, they weren't there. But sometimes I told them I think I wrestled better when they weren't there, but they maybe don't like hearing that. But mom and dad came to everything. Older sister Amber came to everything. She had to. And then eventually Brooke got drug around too, but got drug around to everything. My grandparents, Joyce and Mike, my mom's mom and dad. My dad's mom and dad, Darwin and Norma. My mom's brother, Chris, Aunt Amy, all my cousins, Callie, Chase and Chloe. They came to every state wrestling meet. And then my dad's sister, Lisa, Brad, Brock Laney. Coaches, being young, Gary Anderson literally coached everything. So I have to give G a shout. I graduated with his son, good buddy of mine, so he coached everything. Daryl Sandin did a lot of coaching, wrestling. My parents had no clue what wrestling was, so somebody had to kind of show me the ropes. He was a great help, but I, really jumped into wrestling at a young age. So Tom Queasley is my coach from day one. He was my coach to the end, and then Troy Cody was my high school football coach. Todd Sikalski was there. I was really close with Todd. He was the offensive coordinator, and he was my freshman head coach too. Even a little side one. Somebody like Bruce Klutz, he was awesome. I mean, we were so lucky to have him in the program at the time. I mean, he did so much for us during the football season. I still remember when Deb came up to me. I don't even know if you had called me yet. I think you did, but she goes, "Congratulations, So the Hall of Fame committee, I think it's so awesome. I still remember when I came to these when I was a kid, and to get it going again is just awesome. Thank you guys for that. Probably missing people, but I better thank my wife, Emily, too. I don't want to forget her. She said to deal with me for a long time. So I haven't been married that long, but she said to deal with me for a long time. So, and then obviously my kids too. So I always try to tell my kids that we're one of the lucky ones. There's a lot of kids out there that are talented, whether it be in athletics or anything, right? Or have a lot of ability that maybe don't get the shot. One of the lucky ones that have the support. Encourage people to coach, volunteer, help. Our kids need it, our community needs it. There's a lot left.
Good afternoon. You think about Mike Wubina, and as his former football coach, it's just an absolute honor. Just a few adjectives, Mike. As Dan said, so many people remember you as Magic Mike. Electrifying athleticism, just your speed, your agility, your work ethic that you mentioned. Mike, you've been one of the most fierce competitors that I've ever coached. An unbelievable high football IQ, your adaptability, your leadership, team-orientated, your relentless drive for success, your resiliency, your inspirational presence, your playmaking ability, right? Frequently executed your game-changing plays. All those, all those records that your sister referred to, sometimes being a coach it's pretty easy when you just have athletes like yourself. And then most importantly, and I want to end with this, your commitment to growth and being a human being. Mike, you're just an unbelievable individual, a great dad and a husband. It's my great honor, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce and congratulate Mike Wubina.
All right, I'll go quick. Evan's got a football game that starts at 4:30, so. I should thank Matt, because I'm glad they didn't do it at the end of this year, because Elijah allowed me to have a few records left, so. Thank the committee. It's awesome, especially Matt and Jonas. Videos are awesome. Appreciate it. Deb Heinrich, special thank you again. I want to thank three people that are special. Kids won't realize this till they get out. Dan Brookins, KSUM, awesome radio coverage. He talked about it. Bruce Avitz and Gemini, still have all my games and a lot of my wrestling. And then Charlie Sorrells and is formerly the Sentinel. Just really lucky to have those core people to video and do radio broadcasts and obviously the paper. Thank the other MVPs, awesome, great job. Congratulate the other inductees. I know a lot of you guys are younger than me, but I know a lot of you guys played a lot of sports with you guys. Yeah, again, TC surprised me. Love to see him. It's awesome. Feels like we were just together yesterday. Todd Sikalski, Brad Johnson were my other coaches in football. Balcom and Queasley in wrestling. And again, just a special thank you to my family. Chris, Amy, Chloe, Chase, and Callie came tonight. My sister, Amber, Jeremy, Justice, and Jalila. She's actually awake. My younger sister, Brooke, and Ben. And my family knows this. I still tell Ben, my brother-in-law is Ben Kine. I tell him, the best season ever in the history of Fairmont was Ben's senior year when he played quarterback. Should have won state, but hey, he's got to be used to being second like I was, so that's the way it goes. Gigi and Walker, my grandma Joyce, my mom and dad, love them, and then Em, Ella, Evan, and Gavin sleeping. So thank you guys, appreciate it.
I found something on my phone. Will you indulge me here for a second? Just to see if I can get this to work here.
Left side, and he almost gets taken down in the backfield, manages to keep his feet, slips away from another man, bounces through the middle. There goes Magic Mike to midfield. He's to the 40, right down Broadway. It's a foot race. It's a Fairmont Cardinal touchdown. Only by 4 minutes.
Those guys from Laverne are still chasing you. And they're not going to get you. Not going to get you. All right. Congratulations, Mike. Let's welcome our next inductee, who will be introduced by Bill Bittman. Our next inductee is Blythe Bittman. So come on up, Bill.
Wow, what an act to follow. Before I start, I'd like to just make a couple of comments. First of all, my congratulations to the other inductees and sharing your talent, not only with the school, but the community. It was also a pleasure to walk out to the track area, watching the football game, and to see an individual's name posted or painted on the track and also the back of the stadium or complex. And that's in honor of Bob Bonk and his 51 years of coaching track and cross country. And I'd like to add one additional comment to Mr. Dunham. And you heard other speakers talk about his influence on their lives, and I just want to share the influence he had on our middle daughter's goal of becoming a high school teacher. She's a high school English teacher out in Baltimore, and she's been one for 20 years now. And because of Mr. Dunham, that's why she's doing it. So thank you, Mr. Dunham. I think Blythe's career started out at Bud School during the field days. And in watching her run around the field with her classmates and schoolmates, and her being probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest kid out on the field, and that no one passed her. Also, I coached summer softball, and I had to remind her quite often, slow down. do not pass your teammates on the base paths. You don't get additional points for doing that, so please slow down. Another little story about the softball is I was coaching third base, and she got a hit and took off naturally for a second. She was rounding third base, headed to home, and heard one of the parents in the bleachers say, "My goodness, she is kind of fast. Last time I saw her, she was passing first base." So she, again, had that ability. Then it came to 8th grade, and Coach Bonk saw her potential and invited her to join the varsity team. And his instincts paid off as Blythe holds the following records. Indoor, she holds the 55-meter dash, 60-meter dash, the 200-meter dash. Outdoor, the 100-meter dash, the 200-meter dash, and as an 8th grader was part of the 4x1 relay team, and they came in first, and set a record. And 3 years later, with fellow inductee Sarah Rogers, set a new high school record in the 4x100. At the state meet, her senior year, she was part of the relay squad. It came in 3rd place in state, but to me, more importantly, they set another school record in the 4x200. Parallel, there's also the True Team meet that was held up in Blaine, Minnesota, and Blythe participated with that for her 5 years in the track program. They came into first place for those 5 years, and then the 5th year, her senior year, unfortunately, they came in second behind Mankato East, but we won't talk about that. One of the stories about the True Team meet, I think, was her sophomore year, and I was on active duty Navy at the time and responsible for a dinner program back down in Minneapolis. And so I talked to my parents, and they were at the track meet, and they were going to stay for the rest of the meet while my wife and I had to go to this dinner. And I said, "Please, Dad, just take 2 minutes, call me, let me know how the meet came out, because it's fairly close." Well, there's about 30 people at this dinner, and I warned them that I'm going to have to be rude, and my phone's going to ring, and I have to answer it because my daughter is running at a track meet up in Blaine. Of course, everyone was quite sympathetic and understood. Finally, the phone rang. It was my dad. And I said, "Okay, Dad, did they come in first? Did they come in second? What was their result?" In front of 30 people, my dad takes about 5 minutes to talk about the last 4x400 race, runner by runner. It's like, "Dad, I've got 30 people at this dinner. We need to get on with our program. What happened?" Well, if you quit interrupting me, I could tell you. Eventually, it came out that the team did come in first place that sophomore year. So that's my True Team story of the day. Blythe also went on to run track for 4 years up at Gustavus and received all conference honors. And with her 3 other teammates, her senior year, set the school record for the distance medley relay. And her mom and I would like to thank Coach Bonk and his staff for seeing her potential and giving her the opportunity to run. We also want to thank her teammates for the support and encouragement during her track career. She still has the records, but she's still our fast little girl. We couldn't be more proud.
I'm Blythe Bittman. I graduated in 2002, and I work for Mayor Price Financial and live in the Twin Cities. And I'm being honored for track and field, but I also participated in cross country, tennis, basketball, and obviously track. I would have to say all of my coaches for sports-related endeavors, they've always encouraged me, believed in me, pushed me to be my best, and my parents in my professional has inspired me to be all that I can be. That would have to be Bob Bonk. Just even the day that he came up to me as an 8th or a 7th grader, actually 8th grader, in the fall, just asking me that serious question. It's like, hey, you need to talk to your parents about it, but I would love to have you join the varsity track team. And from that day, he just was so encouraging, positive, and a huge mentor to me, that he had goals for me that I didn't even know that I needed or that I wanted, and he pushed me to reach those. And when I finally was like, oh, I can do this now, he pushed me to be who I was on the track and to push me to become faster. And joke was from another coach my senior year was, where did you hide her? Because my senior year was my best year. And I was like, where did you hide her? And he just laughed and was like, she always had it. So cool. A big benefit, it was learning how to work with a team. Even though track and field a lot of times is an individual sport, we also had to work as a team. We worked out as a team. We pushed each other to become better. And our workouts were, you wanted to beat somebody next to you, or you wanted to work out next to somebody who was your same caliber so that you could push each other. So it was the teamwork, and also knowing that even though you are part of a team, you can still shine as an individual, and people will be there to support you and respect you because you want the same for them. I mean, even with my career right now, I help all of our branches. We are a team and we help each other. We have a team chat that we ask each other questions that if we don't know, and whoever can help pipes in. And if somebody's out of the office, we sit and we help, and other advisors come and ask us questions when our teammates don't know the answers. And we're just that team mentality and knowing that we are a team and each individual shines in certain things. The Sentinel relays were always so fun. It's just one thing, of course, as a student, you got to get out of school early because you had to get warmed up and everything for the meet. But to have so many teams from all over the state come and seeing all the talent and being able to compete against more than just our conference to make you push harder. But then again, always being able to do the 4x4 under the lights. Yeah. That you can never beat that. But one of the big ones was being able to be a part of the True Team state title for the girls team for 4 years in a row. Second place as a senior, but I mean, being able to go all 5 years that I participated was huge. And I know one year, I think it was either 8th or 9th grade, I false started in the 100 at the state meet. I was devastated, in tears. And I had to run the 4x200 right after that, 4th anchor. And I just remember hearing Bob be like, Blythe, shake it off. You got this. Just run. You got this. And we ended up getting first place in the 4x2. He just pushed me that hard and pretty much was like, it's fine. You can't think of it. Just move on. Another one, senior year at the state track meet, getting 3rd place in the 4x200 and beating a 16-year-old school record. And again, the team mentality, but so fun. And just, we had a blast. The bus rides up to the state meet and even on the rides home, it's just the girls braiding each other's hair, putting the little personal tattoos on each other's arms, and just hanging out and just pumping each other up. And then I know one year the boys and the girls won, and on the bus we both just blasted out, "We are the champions," and singing that. And then instead of the world, just singing of the True Team state track meet, and just singing that and just having fun. Bob's question of the day before each practice, the timing out of leaving is always 2:37. It was always an odd number, never right on, because so people remember. And just the practices too, we always had so much fun, even in the 50-minute drill or the 45-minute drill. We always had fun, even those kicked our butts, but it's just fun times. that I would have would be stick with what your goals are or what program you might be in. It might be rough at the get-go, but you only get better, and don't ever give up, because you just never know the outcome. If you give up, you may never know how better you could be. You never know what talent or what energy you could have if you don't try. You might not like it. That's fine. Then you move on, find something different, but never give up and always try something new, because you just never know if you're going to excel at it or not. So after high school, I attended Gustavus Adolphus College, and I was also fortunate enough to be able to run track and field there. Very different atmosphere. It was definitely very much individual driven, but I had so much fun. And by my junior year, I was doing the multis, so the pentathlon indoor, heptathlon outdoor, and it fit me really, really well. I had so much fun traveling all over the place, but it was a lot of fun, a lot of team camaraderie as well. Yeah. And then after that, I actually coached at Mankato West for a year. And not all athletes can coach. As I found out, it was fun to see Bob at one of the track meets and just going to say hi to him and stuff like that. And I tried to do as much as I learned from him, but sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's okay. And then I worked at Lifetime Fitness and the kids activities, because I've always wanted to be involved with kids. Went to school for teaching, so that was just right up my alley, and it worked really, really well. And then, ironically, I went to massage school and was able to work at Lifetime Fitness for a while, and then it just didn't pan out how I thought it was going to. So then started my career in 2012 at Ameriprise Financial, and have been there ever since, so for 12 years. There's a ton of people in my corner. First of all and foremost, my parents. They were there from day one with track. They set up the schedule to what parents are going to work, what volunteers are going to work each event. When we had home meets, they had a spreadsheet. They were so precise, and they had everything filled. I just remember at the senior year banquet, Bob asking, well, who's going to take over? Like, you guys are going to come back, right? Parents for sure. Bob, absolutely. He saw something in me that I didn't even know was there. So to help me become the athlete that I was, that helped a lot. And my family, my friends throughout high school, my grandparents who came when they could. Just thank you for the honor to be able to be in this elite group of people. I know there's so many other athletes, coaches that are out there that have done probably way more than I have. And just to be nominated and to be able to be inducted is just a true honor.
Well, please join me in welcoming our new Hall of Fame member, Blythe Pittman. Blythe, come on up.
First and foremost, thank you for the Hall of Fame committee for the nomination and for the induction. I'm very honored, very proud. Thank you to all of my coaches that I've ever had, and especially to Bob Bunk. Sorry. Like in the video, he saw so much talent in me that I had no idea that I had, and pushed me to have the talent that I possibly could to still hold a lot of records. So I'm very honored for that, and very honored to all of the inductees here. Congratulations. So proud of all of you. such an honor to be in such an elite group of people. A lot of thanks to my former teammates. They helped to push me to be the best I could, and hopefully I was the same to them. And thank you especially to my parents. I'm not going to look at him because he's going to make me cry. They have been there, like I said, from day one, as a little toddler, running around, and they have supported me throughout my whole track career, my whole life. And to also my sisters who are hopefully watching from the link. I love you guys, wish you were here, but thank you so much, and congratulations to everybody else.
Congratulations, Blythe, and welcome to the Hall of Fame. Our next inductee from the class of 2008 is Jeff Jansen, and he will be introduced by Jesse Walters. Welcome, Jesse. You look like you have a few things up your sleeve.
I was told to keep it quick, so this will be the abbreviated version, I guess. All right, I'm Jesse Walters. Had the privilege to go to school with a few of these guys that are getting inducted tonight, and really pleased to get to introduce Jeff. So, honestly, congratulations to all of you being inducted. I was the former fastest kid in the class of 2008 until Paul Mallory transferred from SJV and Jeff Jansen moved to town our sophomore year. Just a little bitterness there, but they helped me do some things I wouldn't have been able to do without them. So it's my honor to introduce Jeff Jansen, 2008 graduate. Talk about a great athlete, three-sport athlete, great teammate. He's been a great friend. I think he's a great husband and dad. I'm just so proud to see what you've done. Jeff, I'm going to blow through your stats here because they're all impressive. Cross country, went to state all 3 years that he was here in Fairmont. Got 5th place team finish his junior year, automatic time qualifier individually as a senior. Basketball, I had a ton of fun watching you play basketball, man. Section runner-up our senior year. Single game point record with 41. 25, ended his career with 25 points per game. And 95 of 214 from 3 points. So that's 44%, which is better than my career as a sophomore shooting free throws. So it's incredible. And then track, the sport I got to share with you. There's a lot, man. I had to dig through. So Jeff's a state champion in the 4x8 back in 2006, his sophomore year. State champ in the 4x4, including a team title in 2008, our senior year. To boot on all that, Jeff got 4th, 5th, and 5th in the Open 800. On top of the first place finish in the 4x4, got 3rd and 3rd, and then 2nd and 3rd in the 4x8 on top of that the school record and state championship. So school record 4x8 plus the numbers 5, 6, and 7 there. Number 2 and number 9 in the 4x4, and number 3 in the Open 800. There's more I could say. So awesome track career. And I want to take a lot of credit for this because it's possible that none of that would have happened had I not suffered a grade 3 ankle sprain my freshman year. Okay? So May 6, 2005, it's the Sentinel Relays. And I'm hobbling over to help at long jump, and the national anthem starts, and I'm at about the finish line. So I stop and I stand at the fence, and we do that thing. I'm standing next to this tall guy that doesn't look like he's like watching anybody. So I don't know why, but I strike up this conversation with a guy named Danny Jansen. I'm like, oh, you guys the Jansens from Ceylon, you know, and he didn't know what I was talking about. And come to find out, he's moving his family here, his wife and Jeff. Told me I've got a freshman too, and we're looking at some of the schools around here, and we have some concerns about the kids in the Fairmont hallways. We've heard they're a rough crowd there. I'm like, you might be looking at Danny, I don't know. You know, so I don't know what I said to Danny to convince him that Fairmont was the right choice over MCW, but man, I'm glad 9th grade Jesse said something competent there. And I should probably give a lot of credit. I think about national anthem, then they run the 4x8. I think he probably watched Eric Hugeson hawk down somebody from Hutchinson in that 4x8, and I mentioned, hey, that's the point guard, okay? And then they run the 110 hurdles, and Paul and Matt Reeve take 1, 2. I'm like, oh yeah, and these guys. So I don't think that was all me, but I'm taking the credit there. So fast forward 2 or 3 months later, Jeff Jansen moves to town. My first impressions, he's a tall, confident, kind of egocentric dude. He's loud, he's singing, he's dancing. But the egocentric part, man, I was wrong. I was wrong. Jeff turned out to be such a kind, caring, nervous, anxious, kind of OCD, goofy guy. Okay? And that's what we love about him, don't we, Bailey? I mean, that's just what makes Jeff, Jeff. And he ended up becoming everybody's friends. And man, after just a few months of walking the halls here in Fairmont, it felt like we'd known Jeff forever. I think he's a friend to everybody out there, and a lot of people really helped support him throughout his career. But watching Jeff on a basketball court, that was like poetry in motion. I couldn't bounce the ball very well, so I didn't understand basketball, but he had the handles, the no-look passes, the dunks, the three-pointers. I have memories of the PA announcer, I think, is here tonight saying, JJ 4-3. Okay, we heard that a lot. Followed by the crowd chanting, and I'll take credit for this one too, the J-E-F-F, Jeff, Jeff, Jeff. That was just nuts. That was fun. But I think my favorite basketball memory of Jeff is his free throw routine of the 3 bounces, the hair flip, and it's in. It's beautiful. On the track, where I got to share time with Jeff, he was such an awesome mix of this speed and endurance, and I don't know how he could just sprint those 800s. He still got the number 1 4x8 split of 156.2, which again, I will take credit for because I lagged so far back off the group that he had to catch back up just to get us up there into third. Couple fun memories of Jeff. I remember one of the early triangulars against some local schools, seeing him just absolutely lose his lunch in the trash can. That was before the race. I'd seen plenty of it after. So you hear about that nervous, anxious guy. And then I'm sure some of you guys remember Mr. G, but the old hop on the bike, off we go, and to the well one time. I can hear Jeff shouting that still. And I mentioned the bike because he had an interesting run for him, that he looked like he was kind of riding a bicycle back here. He'd kind of lean back. It was fast and effective, so I'm not making fun of it at all. But I remember pointing out, we're at Mankato West for section, and I said, Jeff, there's a sign here that says no bikes on the track. And nervous him, I'm like, hey, you can't go on the track. He believed me for a second. But Jeff, you got the last lap. I don't think you ever lost a race on that track, did you? Yeah, never lost a race at section. I still see Jeff when I run my workouts. I'll see him at the top of the hill, waiting for that baton. Jesus, sorry. Man, I had some good times, Jeff. I appreciate you always making up for my slow legs in these relays. I remember you just blowing the doors off USC every time, man. They hate you. So Jeff, thanks for being such a great teammate. You're always encouraging and empowering. You helped me fall in love with track and field, and I owe a lot of my success to you and Paul Mallory sitting here. Thanks for being such a great friend. You're kind, you're caring, you're genuine. You improve everyone's lives just by being who you are. I'm going to stop looking at you for a sec here. You changed the trajectory of my life, and I'm just really proud to call you my friend. Jeff, you're so deserving of this. I'm thankful that you asked me to introduce you. So Jeff Jansen, I'll say this again, but welcome to the Fairmont Cardinal Athletics Hall of Fame.
My name is Jeff Jansen, and I graduated in 2008 in cross country, basketball, and track. I think there's been a handful. First off, my parents. They always provided me opportunities to succeed. My siblings set a really high bar. Matt, Nick, Jenny, and Joni, they were outstanding in school. They were outstanding athletically, and in many ways, I'm trying to be like them, and they set a really high bar. I had amazing coaches here. Ray Hassing was the perfect basketball coach for me to be the best player I could be, and their coaching staffs and my assistant coaches were outstanding. I have to give Rex Furness a shout out too, off the court and in the classroom and in this building. He's a mentor for me for life, and someone that means a lot to me as well. Again, Mr. Vaughn, he's on my Mount Rushmore of people in my life and coaches. He was someone who challenged me to be my best and was just someone that I really could relate to. Those two especially are people I talk to yearly now, and people that mean a lot to me. Playing for great coaches, playing with outstanding teammates meant the world to me. When I think about my life and when I think about my experiences now as an adult, now as a dad, now as a husband, many of those moments wouldn't have happened without this school and this the coaches I had and the teammates I had, because I was walking the halls of this school in 2006 when I decided, I want to be a teacher and I want to be a coach, and that's forever changed my life. The way that I was welcomed when I moved here in the summer of 2005, I was welcomed with open arms. I was a sophomore, a 16-year-old who honestly didn't want to move to Fairmont, and to be welcomed by the basketball guys right away The Eric Hugisons, the Matt Reeves, the Matt Klutzes, the Jake Klimans, the Sam Clemenses, and Dan Mullers, all the way to my first cross-country workouts and not wanting to get lost in Fairmont because I had no idea where I was going. And people like Tanner Bullock and Miles Duffy and people that, again, opened their arms to me right away. I'll be forever grateful to those people. And again, to the coaches that they were excited about me joining their team, and I was even more thrilled to join this community. You know, I had a lot of success running and on the basketball court, but that didn't just happen. Again, the coaches, my teammates, they expected it to be successful. And that was the day in and day out of doing things the right way and practicing hard and controlling what you can't control. I had it really easy. You know, there wasn't a lot of outside distractions. I had great friends and classmates that were making the right decisions, and the value of putting in hard work, expecting positive outcomes, and not you know, falling into distractions or not you know, settling for anything but my best. And I think that carried over season after season and year after year that I was able to compete here. On the morning of the second day of the Class A state track championships in 2008, Mr. Bonk took us to a park and he sat us down and he kind of looked at all of us and he said, this could be a really special day. And it was. And you know, I think at that time, as seniors, Paul Mallory, myself, Jesse Walters, and Trevor Bullock, we were only focused on the 4x4. Let's win the 4x4 state championship and we'd be good. But it wasn't until that conversation at a park that we realized that what we could accomplish could be successful and be the ultimate success as a team sport. And for us to go out and win the state championship that afternoon, that's something you don't forget. Thinking of my senior year in general, in the fall, we only had one runner that was running under 19 minutes in the 5K, and that was me. Yeah. And for us to make it to state as a team was truly astonishing. And like probably the best underdog story of my life. Like that team, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't have been a state qualifying team, and it was. And that's something that I forget about and that I'm so proud of to this day. And we probably could say somewhat similarly to my senior basketball season. I shot the ball a lot and had the stats, but for that team to be one win away from going to state, it was truly incredible. And that was guys buying into their role, we had guys maximizing their abilities on the basketball court, and that's such a fun thing. My first spring here, I didn't lose an open 800 until I got to the state meet, and for us to win the 4x8 that year with an alternate and Tyler Lowy running in that race was pretty awesome. 808, I believe, at that time set the school record, and so we broke it the next year. But to win the 4x8 state championship, for us to be 1 point away from being a team champion that year, that was a pretty awesome conclusion of my sophomore season. Thinking about coming back the next year and getting second again by 1 point, the run we had that winter in 2006, 2007, being a top 5 team in the state and losing to the eventual runner-up, I believe, in Maple River, that was pretty outstanding. And then I'm going backwards in 2006 and 7, but our cross-country team placed 5th, which was a huge accomplishment for that group. My one time I split a sub 50 in the 4x4 my junior year to help us get to state. It was a huge moment, and I'll never forget taking a picture of Mr. Bunk's stopwatch as it said 49.89. I think about setting the school record in points in a game at 41 against Maple River senior year, and I sit down on the bench after getting subbed out with 37 points. Coach Thompson, I got to give him credit, and Coach Heinrich looking at Coach Hassing and saying, "Hey, he only needs 3 more." They look at me and, "You want to go back in?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll go back in." And I passed up an open look on the first possession that I was back in the game. Unfortunately, we were going to lose, but I get the ball the next possession and I catch it and shoot a 3-pointer and get fouled and make the free throw for a 4-point play and to get to 41, which is my number, and that's a special memory. It was junior year, so fall of 2006, cross country season. It was the fastest I've ever ran, but Mr. Bonk had us doing an out and back, and it was 24 minutes out, 24 minutes back. And he kept kind of giving us the markers of where we got to turn back. You know, if you get to this point, you know, that's about 3 miles, 2 miles, you know, or 3 miles. If you get to this point, it's about 3.5. Well, you know, Tanner Bullock, Miles Duffy, David Hageman, myself, we were like, well, what if we get to the cemetery? And Mr. Bach goes, you guys won't get there. That's 4 miles. That'd be 6-minute mile pace. You won't be able to get there and get back. And we took that upon ourselves that we got there and back in under 48 minutes. So we were doing sub 6-minute miles for 8 miles. And that was a prideful moment. I think don't be afraid of failure. If you put in the work, if you trust your coaches, if you trust the training, you trust the game plan, whatever happens is supposed to happen. Being held back by, oh, I might fail, or, oh, I had a bad game, or, oh, I had a bad race. If you're worried about failure, you get caught up in those doubt demons. You get caught up in, you know, the negative side of athletics. And I think if you trust yourself and putting yourself out there, you're already winning. And so it's something I struggled with after I left Fairmont for sure. But I think that we got to put ourselves out there more in life and not be afraid of, hey, I gave it my all, and my all wasn't maybe the best today, but I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to do just as good. For everybody to learn that, like, it's okay to fail. It's okay to have our bad days or bad moments, but how do we come back from that? How do we learn from that? And how do we find success? I think it's a pretty big, important lesson. The time in middle school and high school, it goes by so fast. Take advantage of the opportunities to be involved. Whether you're trying something out for the first time or whether you gave up something and you're thinking about coming back, just do it. Just go for it. I think you don't want to be in your mid-30s wondering what if. To think back to the memories I had in athletics, in the other organizations and clubs I was involved. I had no regrets. I'd take a game back maybe or a race back or two, but to be connected with so many people in this building, so many teachers, so many coaches, so many people in the fine arts, like taking a chance, taking that risk, like I was kind of mentioned before, it's so rewarding. And whether you're lifelong friends with those people or not, just those connections to have at 15, 16, 17, 18 is so instrumental for me to make those connections in college and then now, you know, in the real world. So I went to Buena Vista University in Storm Lake, Iowa. I knew right away I wanted to be an English teacher. And that was kind of the path, taking English courses. And then I played 4 years on the men's basketball team. I was really fortunate. My first year right after Fairmont, I was on the top 20 ranked team in the nation in Division III. We were 23-3, and we didn't get invited to the national tournament. And so right away, year one, I faced a lot of adversity. Year two, we lost to go to the national tournament. And then year three, I had hip surgery. And so a lot of adversity I had to face. Led to us kind of the most rewarding thing in post-Fairmont in an athletic standpoint of making the national tournament as a senior in college with my best friends and again, lifelong friends now. And then after Buena Vista, I've been teaching and coaching. I coached I was student teaching even, so I coached track for 7 years. I had 2 years as a middle school football coach, actually, assistant. I've been fortunate enough to be head coach of 2 sports now. 3 years in Glenwood, Iowa as a girls cross country coach, and now 6 years as the head girls basketball coach in Indianola, Iowa. 11 years as a middle school language arts teacher, and then now I'm in my first year as a instructional coach at the high school. And life happens, right? Now that I'm 35, my teammates and my friends that I had here in Fairmont, they set me up for success. And we don't talk enough for sure, and there's some I haven't seen in a long time, but just Fairmont in general, this community, this school helped shape me to who I am now, and I'm going to be forever grateful for that.
Love you. Don't cry.
Jesse says don't cry, but that's already happened, so it's too late, I think, Jesse. 19 years ago, while my mom was still living in Iowa, my dad and I lived in a one-bedroom apartment down the road from the courthouse. My dad would wake up at 6 a.m. to head to work, and I would stumble back into his air mattress and fall asleep until basketball workouts or on the off days when I would just wake up and eat Fruit Loops all day. And so that's how my journey began here in Fairmont. And over the course of the next 3 years, I learned to strengthen a confidence I never knew I had from Bob Bonk. From Ray Hassing, I learned to trust my abilities and that the green light was always on. And from my teammates, my friends, coaches, and assistant coaches, I learned that I belonged here. Thank you to this amazing community for welcoming me and my family all those years ago, and thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me to join this outstanding lineup of 2024 inductees. I cannot thank my parents enough, watching at home, for their unwavering support. I've always strived to make you guys proud and do the Jansen name right. To my siblings, I don't know if I'll ever see any of my accomplishments as great as yours, so thank you for raising that bar. And again, to my coaches, my teammates, my friends, thank you for the memories of a lifetime. Finally, to my wife and my daughters, I love you guys. That's my youngest. The long hair is gone, and the jersey just do not fit anymore. But I look forward to sharing even more stories of these programs, this school, and this community for the rest of my life. Thank you all.
Our next inductee, his nickname in high school was Speedy, according to one of his classmates, and we'll bring him up here. Doug Dittbenner will be introducing our next inductee, Mike Hested, while he's on his way up. I just want to thank the committee members of the Hall of Fame committee, Rhonda Hines, Jared Thompson, Jerry Brooks, Sue Maslowski, Deb Heinrich, Charlie Searles, Chris Engelby, and Coach Mahoney for helping to do all this. And now to introduce Mike Hested, Doug Dittbenner.
Good afternoon. I've been told by multiple folks in the Hested community, keep her short, Dit. I took a picture of some stats that were on the wall outside in the picture there. It said Mike Hested holds the number 9 spot in the Fairmont boys basketball record books in career scoring with 938 points. Congratulations. Now, what it doesn't say is Mike Hested is the number 1 ranked player in attempts. So, people that know me know that there's never been a microphone I really didn't like, and there really hasn't been a 30-foot open jump shot that Mike didn't love. You know, some of you kids out here that are being inducted, you're talking 2006 and 2008, and you know you have cell phones then. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't even have voicemail. I mean, you know, we graduated in 1986 from this high school, and I can truly tell you, first of all, it's a total honor and a privilege to be able to introduce. God, I didn't even make it 30 seconds. Introduce my longtime friend, Michael Hested. So, I don't have any notes or a speech prepared, really. What I did want to do is just kind of tell a couple stories, the one of which is a pretty cool story. In 1972, the Dittbenner family hauled the truckster across Wisconsin. My dad worked at Kmart. My dad worked at Kraft Foods, and we arrived in Fairmont, Minnesota in 1972 on a, I don't know, call it a Tuesday. And then and we moved right next door to the Tiedemas on the corner of Adams and South Orient Street. And then the very next day, the 5-year-old Doug notices there's a moving van backed into this house kind of across the street and around the corner. So, as the story goes, I grabbed my baseball glove and my baseball, and I went over there and I saw people moving things in and out, and so I put my glove down and I walked into the back. Then I grabbed a rocking chair and I brought it in the Hested house, and where I'd met Elaine and Ron for the first time as well. And then then I didn't move anything else. I grabbed my glove and I asked who wanted to play catch, and Mike said, I'll play catch with you. So that's when we were 5 years old. How old are we now? We're 57, dude. So call it 52 years of friendship. Mike and I were best men at each other's weddings. Our kids are roughly the same age. Sam, his son Sam, and my son Xander are roughly the same age. And in fact, Mike took a picture of my son and gee, bro, what a baby. Took a picture of my son and Sam. How old are they? Probably 10, yeah. But with their arms around each other, so it was kind of a generational thing. I'd like to say hi to Elaine Hested and her sister Paula. That's Mike's favorite aunt. Thank you, Paula. You can pay me later. So they're watching online, I think. But it was so good to see Mike's dad, Ron. And one of the things that I can truly say is that, Mike grew up in a family that was very athletic, very competitive. Older brother Tim, Hall of Famer, older brother Tim, was always, kind of leading the pack on getting us to do things and things like that. And then you have younger brother, Hall of Famer, Brad Hested, who's also here. In fact, I was thinking about changing my name legally to Doug Hested, so I might get into the Hall of Fame someday. We were very athletic growing up, and we were so fortunate. Mike and I were so fortunate to be in that venue. I just was talking to Mike earlier before I came up. I said, how lucky were we to have your dad mentor us and spend special attention and bring us to the middle school field and hit baseballs. That's where I learned what can of corn meant, and that's where Ron Hested gave me the nickname Dugout. In fact, I was golfing this morning with Hall of Famer Tim Hested, and he called me Dugout. And I go, I haven't heard Dugout since like I was 9 years old with when Ron used to call me Dugout. So speaking of nicknames, my nickname given by, I think, Dave Luth, Tim's friend, or Dave Tiedemann, my next door neighbor, was Snugs. Now, it's funny. But so Mike Hested has had a fairly lifelong nickname, and from what I hear, I was reminded of it this morning on the golf course. Tim said that he was watching us freshmen play football against Mankato West, and I think we were smoking them. And Mike was the quarterback, and he broke through the line. And he's running down the field, and Tim says, and Tom Mahoney says, "Hey, Hested, do you got anybody with another gear on that team?" So his nickname now has been Wheels for many, many, many years, and it has to do with foot speed, if you didn't get that one. It's so weird. I spent probably as much time at the Hesteds and hanging out with Mike Hested as I did in my own house. I mean, I think we were doing something every night. Either we were trying to find kids to play football at the park, or we were trying to, find people to play, baseball or whatever. I remember, Mike, when Ron Hested got a moped. Remember that? So Mike got to ride the moped, and then our friend Paul Naraki, or Rock, got another moped. And so I jumped on Rock's moped, and I thought it'd be a cool idea to jump the jump the driveway curb, and I jump it up, and Mike's watching. I jump up the curb, and the front wheel falls off, and down goes Doug. And so that was kind of a fun moped time. So I was talking to my friend John this morning at the golf club, and we were talking. I go, how long have you known Mike? He said, only 2 years. I said, well, what are you doing here? You know, he goes, I had to be here. He said, you know, Mike's a magnet. He's a guy you want to be around. He's a guy you want to hang out with. How long is this? I gotta go. Greg and Angie are here. They made the trip. Chris Flo, one of our old close friends from the neighborhood, is here. I see Belk in the background. It's really been great. So I just want to say it's been an honor. I have about 14 more stories, but I know we need to get going. So it's an honor and a privilege, Mike. I love you, always have. We're a pea in the pod. We're a pea in the pod, and I wish you the best. And I'm so honored to be up here delivering this to you. And thank you so much, Mike Hested. I want to be like Mike.
I am Mike Hested, and I graduated in 1986.
Awesome.
As we like to say, we had the muscles, we had the chicks. Class of 86. Well, I played football, basketball, and tennis. I had a lot of inspiration. I certainly had the family. My father was a coach, and I had an older brother that was in the program, and an uncle who was like a brother who lived with us that I grew up with. So I was born and raised, just bleeding red and white. I got to see, some incredible, basketball teams and incredible football teams. So a lot of inspiration to be found. And you think about, what we had here in Fairmont. We had successful, athletic programs and coaches that knew how to build continuity. Year after year, the Cards were always, at the top of the old South Central Conference. So it was fun to be a part of it. Again, going back to, my family, seeing, my father around, basketball. We were around basketball all the time. I got to see, my brother be successful, and I think my little brother saw his older brothers do the same. But certainly in terms of being mentors, all the athletes that came before, there were some incredible athletes that I got to witness growing up, and you just wanted to be a part of it, and you wanted to do your part to continue the legacy. That was really the challenge. What I took from my athletic experience, certainly at FHS, was learn how to be a good teammate. I think hopefully I wanted to be a great teammate, and that's something that I've taken with me, to every single job that I've ever had. Every interview I've been in, it's like, I'd like to think that I'm coachable, and understanding what a team needs to be successful, and that can mean something different every day to that same team, and understanding that, and hopefully propping your teammates up on days that aren't going so well, and celebrating successes together. It makes everything more enjoyable. Well, I think again, being coachable, for sure, lifelong friendships, people that I got to spend time with, on the court, on the field, remain lifelong friends, and we will always have that. And to this day, my best friends were, people that I wore red and white with as Cardinals. I'm proud to say that I never lost a Blue Earth in football or basketball. And of course, tennis, I couldn't say that. They were a powerhouse in tennis, but we won't talk about that. I think some of the highlights for me were beating Worthington at Worthington in the sub-region finals when they were, I think, number 2 in the state at the time, and they'd beat us by 20, earlier in the year here in Fairmont. And to go on the road and beat them there was definitely a highlight. It's a game that anybody that played with me there, will never forget that game, and it was fun. but being a part of Coach Mahoney's 213th win, I was on the field for that. I played quarterback for him that year, and that was a really exciting moment to be able to share. And he did a great job of downplaying it, but afterwards I remember chanting 213, I think was the number at the time. So it was really pretty special to be a part of that. And I think of all the miles that we got to drive with Coach Dunham on the tennis team. He was really good about, in our scorebook, to always also log how many miles we drove, and he would tally at the end of the year. Granted, this is well before Microsoft Excel, so it was by ledger basically, but we'd add it up. There was no Google Maps either, so we were just kind of guesstimating, but we keep track every year how many miles we put on, so it was fun. Some just great times. I can say from experience that I had the opportunity to go on and try my luck playing basketball at the college level, just Division III and the lowest level of that. And I learned pretty quickly that my high school coaches were I thought were even, were better. So I had to kind of bite my tongue. I think about, just the time you spend, and come back to, to basketball or football. There's going to be days and weeks. You get to the middle of the season, you're tired. It can be a bit of a grind, but what you don't realize is those are the days that the coaches will push you and demand more of you. And there were times when you're younger, they had to push us harder because it was tough to get us motivated. They were able to make us achieve because they pushed us was far further than we ever thought we could do on our own. So I'm thankful for everybody that that they had in place here. It was an incredible collage of really passionate coaches, and it was fun. I thought long and hard about this one, and I had a couple really, I think, poignant experiences when I was at Fairmont High School, and one of them was when I was a freshman, and I happened to go to we got us out of class, so I was excited about that, but it was related to student council, and we got to hear a videotape presentation of a motivational speaker named Mark Scherenbroich, and as luck would have it, FHS had this guy come live in person for a Lyceum my sophomore year. And he spoke about when you're in high school, it's easy to allow yourself to be, to put up a shell and put a barrier up. But he encouraged you to break out and to say yes and try things. And I don't know what it was, if it was just dumb luck, but it resonated with me. And I think my entire experience at FHS was painted with, me trying everything that I could, just say yes to it. If it meant being in one-act plays, if it meant being in choir, if it meant being, whatever, just do it all. And thankfully this was the kind of place where there was no stigmas. You could be a part of the arts, you could be a part of athletics, and it was accepted and encouraged. And get involved. Don't be afraid to try something new. Now's the time to do it. And it may seem difficult at the time, but you're going to look back and be happy that you did. I've been working in sales most of my adult life. I currently work for I'm a regional sales manager for a company based in Albert Lea, and I live in Mankato with my wife, and I got to make sure I say their names. My wife Lori, and my son Sam's a senior at Gustavus, and I have a stepdaughter Anna, who lives in St. Paul, and a stepson who lives out in Charlotte, North Carolina. But I got to thank my parents. My dad obviously being a coach here, and I think of what comes to mind is I think of my mom coming to darn near every single sporting event that I had. And we're talking the most obscure middle of April, it's cold, and we're gonna go play tennis at St. James, and Mom would be there with her lawn chair. I'm like, wow, the dedication that it took. I mean, it's incredible. And I'm, being a parent now and seeing the other side of it, it's a commitment. But I also understand, hopefully, that, there was some reward, but I certainly enjoyed watching, my son play sports too, but I'm appreciative of all they did, and the camps and just being involved and being good role models. And I think that, amongst other things, that's a good thing. I think every single coach that I had here, I think of coaches, from ninth grade football with Coach Hested and Coach Wilson, Joe Burns and Mr. Parker, and then varsity coaches from Arv Soma, Tom Mahoney, legend, and I think, and then of course, having Coach Lauren Dunham in tennis, it was an entirely different change of pace coming off of an intense season of basketball than you go play tennis. And boy, I took a lot of joy and pride playing tennis for Coach Dunham. That was a lot of fun, and I think and he would probably agree that we were riding, again, we're old. This was the wave when tennis was quite popular. It was becoming popular, in the States. This is the era of John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors and Bjorn Borg. So, I drank the Kool-Aid and, loved the sport. And it was a nice change of pace. It was a great team sport, yet there was the individual component. So, teammates, I think of the players that I used to look up to, growing up, in the gym, watching my dad's teams, and I think of teammates that I got to play with, my buddy Doug, and I think on the football team, I think of my friend Paul Naraki, who his older brother and my older brother were the quarterback center of the football team for 3 years, and as luck would have it, I and Paul then were teammates for 3 more years after that. So there were a Hesed and an Iraqi there for 6 years straight. So somehow we made a deal with the devil or something there. But and I think of the older guys that I got to play with. I think of Mark Kenneke, and I think of Paul Betts, and I think of guys like my junior year of high school. In retrospect, I look back and guys that I don't know if I understood it at the time, but we're great leaders, and I wasn't mature enough to really fully appreciate it. A guy named Darren Plath was our captain my junior year, and he would call us out if we weren't doing what we should do. And at the time, I fully didn't quite understand it, but in retrospect, I'm like, boy, that guy had it figured out, and I have a lot of respect for his maturity that he showed being a 17 or 18-year-old. Certainly, we certainly needed it, but there was a ton of great athletes, and again, all we wanted to do was try to uphold the tradition here. So it's great to be back here. It's like it's never changed, but it's changed a ton. But all the same feelings. It's great to be here. I'm honored to be a part of this.
I don't sound like that, do I? That just is so uncomfortable to sit and watch. But I appreciate certainly the Hall of Fame committee and everything, everything everybody's done to make this a special event. It's fantastic to be a part of it. I often say, well, I don't say it, but the older you get, the better you were. So by that reason, I should have been pretty darn good, but that's not the case when I hear about the exploits of the other Hall of Fame inductees. You guys are incredible. It's amazing just to be uttered in the same breath as them. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I promise this will be a quick 15, 20 minutes tops. But I think I'd mentioned on the video, the traditions that we had here, and we were very fortunate. The good Lord has blessed me in so many ways, and it also blessed Fairmont High School with coaches that had continuity and that knew how to run a program and maintain a program. And I know they're doing it today, and it's fantastic to watch. We're watching. Once a Fairmont Cardinal, always a Fairmont Cardinal. But in some ways, not only did we have coaches, we had athletes that we all looked up to that were great, that made it an incredible place, that we all aspired to uphold that tradition. And I think of people here and people that were inducted long before us, and I hope in a very small way that we were able to pass that along. That's our hope. And the guys that I played sports with are lifelong friends. You've heard guys sharing those stories, and you heard Doug, and he and I are no exception. And there's all my best friends are. A lot of them are guys that I played high school sports with at Fairmont. So I will be eternally grateful for that. And certainly for, very quickly, all the wonderful people that decided to make the trek here today. I'm blown away. You guys are way too cool. I don't deserve you. So God bless you. Hi to my mom at home. I love you. I love you guys. Thank you very much.
Hall of Famer, Mike. All right. Next up, we have our next inductee from the class of 2004 is Sarah Rogers Clements, and she will be introduced by Emily Trinidad. So come on up, Emily. Welcome. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Emily, Sarah's younger sister, and also a former teammate in track and cross country and forever running buddy. I have the honor to introduce you to Sarah Rogers Clements and talk a bit about her amazing track and field career. Sarah started her varsity track and field career as an 8th grader, nervous and young, with fellow lifelong friend and fellow Hall of Fame athlete, inducted last year, Jamie Rooney, and they spent 5 incredible seasons on the varsity team, leading to their exploits today. Some of her incredible accomplishments include earning the all-time scorer until she was eclipsed in 2015, bumping her to the number 2 spot, 2-time state qualifier in the 300 hurdles, earning bronze in 2004, Fairmont's 4th fastest time in the 100-meter hurdles, number 4 all-time in the 300 hurdles, and a member of the fastest 4x1 meter relay in Fairmont history, alongside Blythe Bittman, Kelly Bolsinger, Jenny Schloniger, and in addition to her individual accomplishments, multiple True Team honors. To watch Sarah race was always exciting. Sarah approached each race with a fiercely competitive spirit, no matter if it was a small meet or a big one like state. When races were close, Sarah would give all she had through the finish line, even breaking a few hurdles along the way and leaving several scars on her knees to prove it. Sarah was a force to be reckoned with, and those hurdles did not have a chance. Sarah was a well-rounded track and field athlete who was talented in many events, not just the hurdles and sprints. Each year, she would often come out on top during the pentathlon, even excelling in the shot put. And as her second all-time highest score shows, she was a huge contributor to team successes in whatever event she competed in. Sarah's friends, Jamie and Aaron, even convinced her to join cross country. I think it's safe to say cross country wasn't Sarah's forte, but she was always up for the challenge and had fun with her teammates always, and quietly gave me satisfaction of being slightly better at one thing. But I digress. Sarah had a natural athletic talent, but she also had incredible work ethic. During practice, Sarah was a leader in pushing the paces and making everyone around her a better member of the team. If she wasn't warming up, she could be seen all over the track cheering on each teammate. Not only was Sarah focused on the track, she also spent a lot of time studying the sport off the track. Sarah was a student of her sport, especially the hurdles. She spent summers practicing her form, participating at track camps at Iowa State with her fellow hurdler Ashley Rosenberg, as well as convincing Mr. Bonk to even let her bring home some hurdles to practice in our yard for the summer and in the basement over the winter. She was also well aware of the competition around her, and if she didn't know the stats of her competitors, her running mates Aaron Hokinson and Jamie would make sure she knew who she was racing from after the hours they put in studying stats together online. But what sticks out most, looking back on Sarah's storied track and field and running career, is Sarah's team spirit. Sarah was a leader in supporting everyone around her and joining in all the team building fun, like getting her hair braided with teammates, planning fun ways to show team spirit, like wearing matching lipstick or matching fake tattoos with the whole team, and participating in spaghetti dinners. Overall, Sarah found joy in racing and being a part of a team and has so many fond memories of that time. Sarah's work ethic, team-oriented spirit, and overall positivity in life has brought her to where she is today. Sarah, we are so proud of your accomplishments, but even more proud of the mom, wife, family member, and friend you are today. And I know Dad is here in spirit, cheering you on from a distance, just as he did when he flew all the way from New York to make it just in time for your 300 hurdle race to watch you from the fence. Congratulations, Hall of Famer. We love you.
My name is Sarah Clements. I graduated in 2004. Right now I live in La Crosse, Wisconsin with my family. My husband, Jake Clements, who also graduated from here. I should say my maiden name is Sarah Rogers when I graduated. We've got 3 kids and I'm an optometrist. I'm being honored for track and field mainly, also participated in cross country as well. You cannot talk about track and field without talking about Mr. Bonk, and he definitely was by far the biggest mentor that I had. When it came to inspiration to reach my endeavors or goal, he was always there. He would always find a way to pull you aside, talk with you one-on-one, inquire how you were feeling. Was it good? Was it bad? What's new? What's happening? Oftentimes I would point out what I was struggling with, and lo and behold, next practice, you'd probably be dealing with that struggle in one form or another. I remember one time where I was telling him I hated the corner on the 300 hurdles, right at like the 200 mark. So we did repeat like 200s, like multiple times, and I had to race Ashley Rosenberg, I remember, and we wouldn't stop. We would just tag each other. And my other mentors would be my parents. I mean, they played a huge role in my high school career with everything. They were very supportive. They were at every meet, or at least tried to be there. They were always proud, even when, I didn't feel I did well. My dad in particular always built me up, placed strength in me when I was having my doubts. I remember one time when he was traveling, he was on business in New York, and he wanted to make it, and I'm like, he's not making it. I remember running around like right at the 100-meter mark, and I saw him go, yeah, and I was like, Dad, like put the medal down. I would have to say I have to give a shout out to Jamie Rooney, because her and I were in the same class, and Mr. Bonk had sought us out when we were in 8th grade. I was really nervous, and so, Jamie was definitely a part of the reason I went in and did track. I was always grateful for the seasoned athletes as well. When we were starting that young, who would come up to you and be like, hey, welcome, or like, let me show you, or you'd be like, what's going on? So It was definitely awesome to have those older athletes, not older, but like they were really big people to you at that time. It was like Kelly Bolsinger, because I ran 100 hurdles with her, Kate Banks, like those people, Ashley Rosenberg. A lot of things in my life, I feel like, definitely was impacted from my experiences that I had in high school, track and field, cross country. I think the obvious one that I had was just the importance of exercise and movement. It's a lifelong endeavor. Just finding and continuing ways to move your body. We did visualizations. That was the first time I was exposed to something like that. It wasn't as popular to like meditate or do sort of like positive visualization, I felt like, or maybe it was just new to me because I was younger, but I remember being on the floor of the field house and everybody was silent, like everyone was giggling, and Mr. Bonk's like, we're gonna do these visualizations, and we were like, what are we doing? But I think that exposure at that time has really it built, and throughout my life I had used visualizations in like my labor and delivery and in my workplace where I need to focus on something, I never realized how much impact that would have. I have very vivid memories of visualization, of like running in like 50-degree weather, and hearing the sound of my breath and the repetitive footsteps And like the cool mist on my face, I think it's in Hutchinson, the course there. And like that is something that like calms me. And acceptance and kindness, all value that was shown and taught by, I felt like Mr. Bonk and kind of how he ran the program, exemplified outwardly that you were important to the team. If you were last or you're first, it really didn't matter. You weren't treated differently. As long as you were trying your best, being respectful, and a team player, he gave you the respect, and you deserved the respect. And that was always something that he exemplified. There's no bad weather. There's just like bad attitudes or bad clothing. Obviously, a lot of us know Mr. Bonk, but if you didn't, you know, you go up to him and be like, hey, you know, it's going to be like sleeting and snowing today. You know, it's springtime, early track practice. You're like, is it canceled? You know, no, you know, you'd run inside or you'd like go running back forth like on the sidewalk that was shoveled off. Yep. And those were the practices I remember now. Like, it's not the good day practices. It's like the crappy ones that made you work, or you had the most fun when you thought that they were going to be the worst. Life's not going to wait for a nice day for you. I felt like he taught to be prepared. Like, show up, be there, be ready, be on time, come at 3:05. No, not 3:05, 3:07, and like know your stuff. Like, what are you running? What time is it? You know, prepare. I was on the JV cross country team, and I was just getting pummeled. And I remember finishing, and Mr. Bonk was like, you won. And I go, there are like 5 people ahead of me. He's like, no, you won. And I was like, no, I didn't. And he's like, they cut off, they didn't know the course. And they cut like maybe 50 meters or something. And I was the only one that ran the course. So come prepared. Because you can win. I remember one time, again, running the 300 hurdles. I was coming around the bend right by almost at the 100 mark, but I was still on the curve. And I was going, I think it was like misting, raining, and I was like, oh, this is awful. And I put my foot out in front of me to jump the hurdle, and my foot went right through the hurdle, and the hurdle snapped in half and like went flying with pieces all over the place. And I was like, ooh, that was pretty cool. And then I heard some of my teammates and classmates were on the side, and they're like, yeah! So that was one that really sticks out to me because I broke a hurdle in the middle of my race, and I think I won. Like, not a great memory, but it was a learning memory, is when I was supposed to qualify, I think, for state in the 100-meter hurdles, and I was super nervous, and I got in the blocks, and I think like the 3rd hurdle, I tripped over, and I like tumbled, and then I got up, and I was like underneath the next hurdle, so you can't run under the hurdle. You have to like back up. Yeah. So I was like trying to back up, and my back got caught on it, so like the hurdle like was stuck on me. It was so embarrassing. And I remember like finishing the race like really disheartened, and like left and went and cried in the like stall, and Mr. Bonk came into the women's bathroom and was like, all right, you know, let's go talk about it. So that was a pretty big memory too, like, you know, those ones that build you. I would have to say it was always really fun to go to the True Team State Championships. Like, the energy about it, like, you know, school got involved, like there was a coach bus, and you like had t-shirts that you all wore. I think that those were really memorable times, just having your camaraderie with your fellow teammates as well. So you know, being able to compete individually, and then also having the team aspect too was really fun. I remember my very last race. It was 300 hurdles of my career, my senior year. And I like didn't want to put pressure on myself. I was like trying to be all loose and everything. And I got into the blocks, and my legs were just like jelly. And I was like, you know, this is cool, you know, just be cool, you know. And like the gun went off, and I started running. I was like, oh, I'm not going very fast. I could like see the people coming up in the other lanes. I was like, oh no. And I remember like just putting the medal on around like the corner in the last like 150, and I kept nicking people off. And that was really fun because I just kept getting more and more people because I panicked, essentially. So, because I was like, this is your last race, you gotta do really well. So just the conversations you have on runs and the team building and all that sort of stuff that happens, you know, finding your next bathroom on the run, you know, where your next drink is on the run. Spaghetti dinners, having spaghetti dinners. Blythe's house, Blythe Bittman, like the garage sale run, where everybody would buy
their funny garb and put that on. Those were probably some of my bigger memories. If you're a current athlete, be someone to look up to. Be humble and respectful. You never know who's watching you. You know, that small kid who's just like, you're awesome. Learn to lose gracefully. Don't take yourself so seriously, and find the fun, because your attitude is huge and it's infectious and people know. If you're considering joining a sport, I just do it. At least learn what you're capable of, what drives you, what doesn't drive you. Maybe you're not so great at it. Maybe you are great at it. Try sports, see if it helps you learn a passion, a discipline. Doesn't matter if you're fastest, quickest. I feel like you can still gain lessons from that and find out a lot about yourself. After I graduated from high school, I went to the University of Minnesota and I did pursued biology degree. And then I went to the Illinois College of Optometry and I became an optometrist. I would love to thank the committee for honoring me. I'm tickled pink to be here. It's super fun. Obviously want to thank Mr. Bonk and his time and dedication. My teammates, specifically like Aaron Hokinson and Jamie Rooney, for always encouraging me and being there and pushing me and doing all the things together. My sisters, my eldest for always French braiding my hair at every major meet and being a crazy cheer in the stands. My next sister, Ingrid, for introducing me to track and field. And then my youngest sister, Emily, for humbling me because she was a better long distance runner than I was. My parents, for instilling the importance of passion for something. Oh, I gotta give a shout out to my husband, who I may or may not have somewhat influenced me into going into cross country or track and field, because I might have had a crush on him at the time in high school. Just a little shout out there.
Hi, I'm Sarah. Thank you for being here. I'll keep it short. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee, everyone that's still hanging on here, and this is just an awesome award. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Our next inductee is from the class of 2008, and he is the answer to a trivia question. Who scored the winning touchdown in Matt Mahoney's first game as head coach for the Fairmont Cardinals? And it is Paul Mallory, and he will be introduced by Kelly Landine.
Hello, everyone. It is a distinct privilege to stand before you all today to honor the induction of a truly remarkable individual into Fairmont's Hall of Fame. Now, I'm the outsider here because I did not meet Paul until he was already in medical school. So I knew he had a background as a high school athlete. Cool, he did track. I'm like, yeah, that's great. I played sports too, cool. However, Paul's humility kept his achievements somewhat of a mystery to me for nearly a decade, because it was not until about a month ago that I accompanied him back to Fairmont and truly grasped the extent of his impact. Watching him be greeted by the head football coach, as well as the superintendent, who were both eager to pay their respects to the legend that is Paul Mallory, was nothing short of eye-opening. Matt Mahoney then gave us a tour of the new gym, and I got to see just how many dorky photos of Paul grace the walls of Fairmont High School. It's a lot. It was then that I realized the full extent of the impact he's had on this community. Paul's high school track career wasn't just impressive, it was nothing short of phenomenal. He broke enough records at the time that I can't list them all, and that football one is a new one. I didn't know it was the first touchdown for your career. That's pretty cool. During his senior year, he didn't just participate, he dominated. At the state championships, he secured the champion titles in the 110 hurdles, the 300 hurdles, and the 4x4 relay, which he ran with teammate and fellow inductee Jeff Jansen. For good measure, he also placed 8th in the triple jump, because, why not? Which showcased his versatility and his sheer athletic prowess. His exceptional performances were crucial to leading Fairmont to the state track and field championship that year. And let's talk about longevity. 16 years later, sorry, I am going to date you there, Paul still holds the school records for the 110 hurdles, the most track points in a single season, and the most career track points ever. To put this into perspective, this last record is about 200 points ahead of the next best achievement, so somebody surpassing it seems almost insurmountable. His feats on the track set a standard of excellence that continues to inspire and challenge future generations, and one could argue he's the greatest track star Fairmont has ever had. Yet his influence at Fairmont extends beyond track and field. As a football player, he tied the record with fellow inductee Mike Wubina for the most rush yards in a single game, which was only recently surpassed last year. After a particularly successful game, one of the coaches entered the locker room and gave Paul the most bizarre compliment that still makes him laugh today. He said, "Everyone talks about Paul Revere, but no one talks about the horse that carried him." There may have been a bit more colorful language and gusto in the boys' locker room with that comment, but the essence of it is clear, and that is that Paul was that horse, a workhorse that drove his team forward with unrelenting determination and dedication. He did dabble in basketball as well for a couple years, but later on says he took the winter season to recover from all the ACL tears and the broken hands that he got from football so that he could be ready to hurdle by the spring season. As I've gotten to know Paul's old track buddies, I have come to understand just how special his track family was. Their camaraderie, support, and shared experiences were not just about athletics. They instilled values of loyalty, perseverance, and teamwork that Paul carried forward and still embodies to this day. Even with such extraordinary athletic feats, Paul's story is about far more than just these records. His achievements were fueled by an intrinsic motivation that propelled him to even greater heights. His discipline and focus, honed as a high school athlete, paved the way for his collegiate success. He became a 2-time academic All-American at Augustana and was conference champion in the 110 hurdles. I had to ask him what that means because I didn't know. And he didn't stop there. He pursued medical school with the same vigor, specializing in one of the most competitive fields of ophthalmology. Today, he is a highly respected retinal eye surgeon, profoundly impacting the lives of his patients. Yet his greatest accomplishments are those of the heart. He is a devoted son, having supported his mother and cared for his father in his final years, just as his father supported him through his track career. Devoted mother who's now chasing our child all around this auditorium. Thanks, Nana. He remains, as ever, a teammate. When he asked me to marry him, he cited our success as a team and asked me to be his teammate. Knowing how important that word is to him, I am honored to be his teammate in life. Oh yeah, I'm his wife. That's how I know him. He is a devoted husband who has supported me and celebrated my own successes as much as his own, and our greatest success has been together as he is the most loving father to this cute little one in the pigtails who's causing a ruckus. So today we celebrate not just the athlete he was, but the extraordinary person he has become. Congratulations to our next Fairmont Hall of Fame inductee, Paul Mallory.
My name is Paul Mallory. I graduated from Fairmont in 2008. I ran track and field and played football, and just was fortunate to be part of 2 really great teams. Yeah, I think one of the most important things that led me to really strive and want to be as excellent as I could be were my parents. My mom and my dad were both great examples for me. That combined by the community supporting me, it just meant so much to me to come from a place like Fairmont. I think the first person who really noticed something inside of me that I didn't see was probably Bob Bonk. I remember being a kid and not really knowing what direction to go with sports or athletics, and receiving a letter from him that was personalized, and I could tell that he really cared about me as a person and wanted me to be successful, and I think that was huge in starting what eventually was the thing that I seemed to have a knack for in athletics in high school. My experience is sports, and especially going through this school system, really prepared me for life, for hardships, for the way that I approach things, the discipline that I have. and really has led me to the life I am now, which is being a dad, which is being a husband, things I'm always trying to get better at. And this place really set me up for success and to figure out to do those things to the best of my ability. I think one of the biggest ones that was really instilled in me here at Fairmont was really loyalty. The idea that you need to be loyal to yourself, be loyal to others, be loyal to your beliefs, trust yourself. And that's something that I've carried with me ever since my time here. Certainly there are big moments, big games, championships and whatnot, but one thing that's always stuck in my mind is I remember a particular practice that happened in summer when school was already out and we were getting ready for state track. And I just remember being there for practice, running as hard as I could with great friends, and just a feeling that at that time of my life, that's what mattered most, is I was there with those people. And I remember running so hard and being so excited for the race that was going to come, and really just taking a moment before what went on to be one of our greatest accomplishments as a team, just to relish in the fact that we were together and we supported each other and had great coaching and how far we had come. So in a way, that was kind of the calm before the storm, if you could say, but it's something that I'll always cherish. Was a perfect summer day, just running around circles with my friends. My favorite aspect really of this that carried on even beyond high school was really the time that I spent, the community that I had, to be able to have a family of boys and girls, young men and women that you shared experiences with, you shared hardship with, you shared bus rides, meals, this and that. I'm just so appreciative of the community that we had when I was here. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I learned, and it's something that I learned in high school, and I really didn't have, I would consider athletic success until I figured it out, was really that you have to listen to your own body. And that comes in two facets. I think it means being mentally strong, understanding what you want to do and how you can get to it, but also listening to your body in terms of what's telling you, in terms of avoiding injuries, knowing when to push hard, knowing when you need a relaxation day. And those types of things have translated through pretty much every aspect, including college athletics, but most importantly, how I approach problems and hardships in life too. Sports play such an invaluable role, and the lessons that you can learn, especially outside the walls of the school, are so valuable and will stick with you for so long. And I certainly would not think that I would be sitting here talking with somebody about how it really has shaped my life, but it does. So I would encourage anybody, whatever they do, whatever sport, whatever activity, find a way to find community outside just the regular school hours and do it, and you'll definitely have more success in life. After high school got out is actually when we had the state championship for track and field, and was just extremely, extremely lucky to go and have a good day and actually win multiple events, and then we won the team state title. After that, I had a nice summer break and then attended college at Augustana. I chose Augustana because it was a great place where I could continue my track and field career, but also an excellent place academically for myself to use as a springboard to the next step. And after that, I went to medical school in South Dakota, spent some time in Minneapolis and Nashville, and now I'm an eye doctor and ophthalmologist, and absolutely love what I do. The passion that I have for treating people with eye conditions is the same passion I had that led me to run really fast around the track. And it's really been just amazing to come see everything come full circle and to be here today and to speak on these things. I mean, especially Coach Mahoney, Coach Bonk, you know, the top of the two programs that I did all throughout high school, and really served me the best as a young man, you know, developing into who I wanted to be. Certainly my parents, my mom and my dad, for always being there and supporting me. And now my wife, who's watching our beautiful daughter now together, and the life that we share, and the fact that she's so supportive and appreciative of this type of thing. Especially my teammates, all the people that I spent time with, all the people that helped me discover who I was. I can only hope that I had some role in helping them out along the way too. But just looking forward to being with them and celebrating that, and really cherishing the special times that we have together.
Just want to thank everybody for being here. As I mentioned in the video, this is such a strong community, and especially for people who know or who knew really how we felt about Fairmont, especially my dad who couldn't be with us today, but if you knew him, you know how much he loved all of this. And it's just such an honor to be here. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Kelly, for finally saying something nice about me after all these years about marriage. And my mom, Eileen, who's here, and my daughter who's running around. Thank my coaches, Matt and Bob and Troy. I hope you guys fully understand the impact that you guys have had on my life, and the way that you've helped me and it's helped me help other people is something I'm just so grateful for. So just wanted to say thank you everybody for being here and sticking it out this long, and just an honor to be a part of this. Thank you.
Congratulations, Paul. And we have two more inductees to welcome. One of them is from the class of 2001, while Charlie Sorrells comes up to introduce Asia Walters-Ross. I just want to remark that the girls hockey team that she was a part of back then, that was my first real chance to be part of a winning team that was very much getting the excitement in town. So I always have fond memories of that. Originally, I was brought to Fairmont to call hockey games on the radio because, I don't know, I fooled them into thinking I knew something about hockey, but I learned a lot by watching those girls in that team, and I've always looked back on that with very fond memories. So to introduce Asia, Charlie.
Well, first, I'd like to say it's quite an honor to be selected to present any of you. I congratulate all of the Hall of Fame members this year, all great athletes. I feel tremendously old. I've covered everybody but Mike Kestedt, so I've been around a long time. So, no, Mike, great athlete too, after I researched him and everything. It's just a quick story. I'm introducing Asia Walters-Ross, and I think the first time I ever saw her, she was a 7th grader on the very first hockey team out here. Dave Olson introduces his lineup to us, and we see her and another girl named Heather Agnes, I think was that girl's name, who's also a Hall of Famer here. And tiny little angelic looking pair, you know. And they introduce the lineup and we look over at Dave Olson like, you're insane, man, you're gonna get killed. These girls are like tiny, innocent, and angelic little. He goes, oh, you haven't seen them play. Then we see them play against Albert Lee, or whoever it was, they lead it off. And it was like something from the Hanson brothers, you know, from Slapshot. It's like they're just taking people out. They're just hammering them, scoring goals. And then they get called for a penalty, you know, and they just skate over and they smile at the official. And the official's like, no, don't do that again. So yeah, so it was just amazing watching them. She was part of the cornerstone of the girls program that it's become in 95, 96. They made the section championship her last 2 years of school, 2000, 2001, to kind of lay the groundwork for everything here. 6 years, just an amazing career. And, you know, I thought she was too small, but she's amazing, you know. I think, what was it? She had to give me notes on my cell phone, of course, because I'm too old to remember writing things down anymore. So she currently, she is a MDS coordinator RN at Good Samaritan Wyndham, and she also comes in and fills in as an RN at Goldfinch Estates Assisted Living. I mean, for a tiny little person that I thought was never going to be, she's larger than life. I mean, she's done just amazing things with her life, helping people in the medical industry. So she had 6 great years there in hockey, went on to play at St. Mary's, had a great career there, was an outstanding softball player for 3 to 4 years, I think, on the varsity. Won all kinds of awards. People are used to just having me prattle on, but that's it. She's great. She's in the Hall of Fame and joins a great class this year. So I feel honored to induct you and thank you for being part of this class. Thanks.
I'm Asia Walters Ross, and I graduated in 2001 for softball and hockey. Sure, so I'd have to say my parents were the number one, especially my dad. I just can remember, playing catch with him as just a little tyke and just always watching sports with him. And so he really inspired me. I knew he was a really good athlete, and I wanted, to be successful for him as well. I wanted him to be proud of me. So my parents, my grandparents, I'd say coaches that really inspired me. B Squad, Mr. Osley. He was such a smart coach. He taught us so many little things, like the nitty-gritty for softball. And I'd say that stuck with me, going into the varsity teams. So Mr. Osley for softball. Of course, Dave Olson for hockey. I feel so bad because he was with us, not just during the long winter season, but he was with us in the summer and the spring and the fall, taking us all over, to get ice time. So Dave was a big one, and I'd have to say Charlie Sorrells also. I just remember him in between periods or in between innings or even after the games, but usually it was still when the game was going on. He'd sneak me away and tell me a little tip or hint that he noticed about the other team and something I could do. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. He was my honorary coach. All those people, but even teammates. I feel like the group of girls that I played with on both teams, we were just really close, especially the hockey team, and just building each other up and just wanting to be the best we could be for each other. But I'd have to say learning how much work and effort and dedication you needed to be successful, and then also again just being able to cheer for somebody else, not only your own success, but for others. And I think that just, working hard, realizing how much hard work you have to put into something to be good at it. And then I think I'm still kind of cheering for people, that are in my circle and that I care about, even my residents, just cheering them on, every day. I think that I learned a lot of that from playing sports. Softball, I remember, was one of my first varsity games, throwing out the leadoff batter at second. That felt pretty good. And that was one of the times I remember Charlie coming over a couple innings later, just really building me up. So I remember that for some reason. I thought that was pretty cool. She was fast. Yeah. And it was against Blue Earth, and so I always want to beat Blue Earth. Hockey, it's got to be that senior year. We had a 16-game winning streak, but I remember other games, our double overtime win to go on to sections, and yes, back when they had the South Central Conference. So the last 2 years that I played, they actually had a conference. So I don't know whose idea it was, but I know the senior girls did it. We did it for sure on the hockey team. For those 16 games, which is almost the whole season, we didn't shave our legs. I don't think it was because we were superstitious or anything like that. It was just, let's not shave our legs for the whole season. So that's memorable. I think just even the spaghetti dinners, for both softball and hockey. And for softball, we would, prank the coaches. So I just remember doing those things. Softball, when Mr. Johnson came, so my junior and senior year, we pranked him, I think 2 years in a row, where we would take our our parents' lawn ornaments. Like, I just remember this big, huge green frog, and I don't know if I wrote Johnson on it, and I don't know where that came from, but we're just like, we're going to put all this stuff in their yard, and maybe a few orange cones we found along the way. And yeah, so like Sarah Unke and Teresa Kluckner Haycraft, Jackie Koopman and Lindsay Poe, and I just remember going around doing that. Remember to have fun. It is so different now, and it's so intense at such a young age. Way different than, when I was growing up. And so I really want them to remember to have fun, because, playing sports, it's just the funnest thing in the world. And not to be too hard on yourselves. I feel like as an athlete, you're always, so hard on yourself, but just give yourself a little grace and, remember to have fun. Yeah, so after high school, I went to the University of St. Mary's University in Winona and played hockey there. And we did make it to nationals like my freshman year, so that was pretty cool. But I think even cooler than that was getting to play against like Kirsten. She played at Gustavus, Kirsten Olsen, and Heather Agnes. I got to play against her, and Gwen Fenrick and Sarah Willers. So playing against my old teammates was a lot of fun. After that, I went for teaching, so I did a little bit of teaching and coaching, and then went back for nursing, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I love being a nurse. I think everybody, all the names I've mentioned already again, and of course the Hall of Fame committee, thank you for nominating me. I've wanted to be a part of it ever since 10th grade when I was the MVP and got to go to the banquet, so that was pretty cool. It's definitely an honor, and again, my parents probably the number one there. Just as a parent now myself, I realize how much they sacrificed so that I got to be in sports, so that I got to go to the camps, and I'm just very appreciative.
To take it.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Charlie. Charlie was always really good at helping me feel a little less nervous, like I am right now, so it's nice to have him in my corner. He'd always have some words of wisdom for me in between innings, or before or after the games. And I have my little buddy Henrik, my son. He wanted to come up here, so I couldn't say no. But thank you so much to the Hall of Fame committee. It truly is an honor to be inducted with all these great athletes. And thank you so much, Matt, for organizing all of this and, all of our crazy schedules, giving us some leeway. Hey, can I make it this day instead of this day? So thank you for being so flexible. And thank you to my past coaches and teammates. There's some teammates over there that snuck in, who've turned into lifelong friends. Playing sports is, like I said, just the best thing in the world. It was just so much fun, and I'm so thankful that I was able to do that. And I just want to thank my family and friends that are here, and thank my family who's here with me in spirit. And thank you so much to my mom and dad for all the sacrifices they made. I don't know how they did it. Like, they're just truly incredible. So thank you so much.
All right, congratulations to Asia, and let's welcome our final inductee here for tonight in the class of 2007. And I can't look back and think of how many times I said this guy's name on the radio between football and basketball over and over again, and it's lucky I didn't announce track back then because we'd have been saying it over and over then too. But our final inductee is Eric Hugeson, and he will be introduced by Matt Mahoney.
Before I get to you, Hugo, I got a couple things here. First, I want to just say a real quick thanks to the Gerhardt family. They're right back there in the second row. They are awesome. They do all the decorations. They set everything up. Let's give them a quick round of applause. I'd also like to say thanks to Sue Moslowski. If you notice the boards as you came in, she put in a lot of time going through all the yearbooks, finding out the pictures and putting them up there. And candidates or inductees, you guys will be able to take those with you when you leave tonight. So make sure you guys grab those. So let's give Sue a round of applause. Also want to say thanks to Jonas Nissen. He is in the back there actually live streaming this out. We will get this whole program out to you guys so that you guys can see this. We'll get this online. We'll get it on our school website. This is a really cool honor. It's a long night, but it's worth every single minute of it in my eyes. So let's give Jonas a thank you to what he did. And then the last thing here real quick, Hall of Famers, when you guys get done, let's come down here to the middle. Chirp, you got your camera, I see. Why don't we'll make sure we get a picture of all of you guys. We'll get one group picture here. So it's hard to believe, about 20 years ago, Sarah Junkemeyer, she was our Phi Ed health teacher, and she got pregnant, and I had the opportunity to come back and be a long-term sub. And so I was doing my student teaching in St. James. I was living with a guy up there. They call me, and they're like, hey, Sarah went in. We need you tomorrow. I'm like, yep. Got it, I'll be here. And I don't know how, but Bob Bonk obviously got my number, knew I was coming back. He's like, hey, you want to coach track? I'm like, sure, okay, yep, I'm in. So he gets my number, we talk for 20 minutes. I get to school at 8 o'clock. I teach, really don't know what I'm doing. And I go to track practice that day. And I remember this about as clear as day. We were going north. All you guys know the north route. We're on Prairie. We get past the Freedom gas station. And this whole time I was talking to this kid. And I get past the Freedom, and I'm like, yeah, God, Fairmont had this really good basketball player. And God, he could shoot it. He could dribble. He was really good. I think it was like a Hugeson kid. And he looked at me and kind of kept going. And finally, I'm like, so what's your name? Eric Hugeson. So that's really the first time that I really got to meet. He was one of the first kids I ever really met here at Fairmont High School. And I ended up coaching junior high track. I got to watch Eric a little bit. And then the next year, Troy hired me to coach quarterbacks. And that summer, the quarterback ended up hurting his knee. And so Eric went into action and had an unbelievable season. And I got to coach him his senior year as well. And as an AD, every springtime, we bring up all of our seniors up here and we do a thing and we count all the letters up and we kind of put it on the board, and it's kind of a really neat deal. But I also highlight the three-sport athletes. And that's one thing that always stood out to me with Eric, was he was a three-sport athlete, and when he was an athlete in that sport, he was all in. And nowadays, it's kids are getting pulled here left and right, but Eric was always so true to that sport. And that means, as an AD, that means so much. As a head coach, that means so much when your kids are all in for you. And if I had to go back and say, if you look at all of our three-sport athletes the last 20 years, Eric Hugeson is right up at the top of the best. And I say that for two reasons. Number one, he was one of the best teammates I ever saw. He gave kids rides home. Bought them spaghetti, took care of the kids. He took care of everybody. He was the team dad, and he didn't blink an eye. He never thought twice about it. And now that's a special quality of a kid that he didn't realize that he had that in him. And we saw that as coaches, and it was super impressive. And bear with me here, because here's the stats. Okay, In football, he's number 2 in touchdowns in a game with 5 against Marshall. He's number 8 all-time in passing yards. He's number 9 with 24 career touchdowns. In basketball, he is number 2 all-time leading scorer. He is number 1 all-time leader in steals. He averaged 20.01 points per game. In track and field, he has a school record on the 4x8 team in 2007. He's also number 8 all-time in the 800, number 9 all-time in the 4x4, and he's in the top 10 as number 1, number 7, and number 10 in the 4x8. It's unbelievable stats that he has here. And as I wrap this up here to get to the video here, one thing that I can say, and I've been doing this a while now. I've been coaching, this is my 18th year as the head coach. I've coached girls basketball, I've coached track, spent 1 year as a boys basketball coach. Eric Hugeson is in my Mount Rushmore. If there's about 4 or 5 kids that I've coached, Eric is up there. And what's really cool for me is 20 years ago, I met this kid. And as coaches, as teachers, we make a huge impact on student athletes. But he made a huge impact on me. Eric Hugeson.
My name is Eric Hugeson, and I graduated in 2007. I participated in football, basketball, and ran in track. Well, this one, it would definitely be my parents. They were a strong support system that allowed me to succeed from a young age. They enrolled me in camps, were there to coach, were there to support at every single event that they could physically make it to, and they are definitely the ones that I owe the most to. Athletics taught me a ton in life. Taught me that if you're willing to put in the work and the sacrifice, that you can achieve your goals. Also taught me how to persevere through tough times, whether that be through injuries or tough losses. Taught me that to get through that adversity and to persevere, and there will be light at the end of the tunnel, and that life moves on with or without that. Also, the other one would be teamwork. The sports taught me such a valuable lesson in teamwork, in that no matter what role you play on the team, from last one on the bench to the best player on the team, each person plays an integral part of that whole way through the season, and through success or failure. So the team is huge that way. Sophomore year, basketball team that year, sophomore year, we beat Waseca late in the season to clinch a 3-way tie for the conference title. That was quite a game. One of my first memories of senior varsity sports. I missed out on the football season that year, my sophomore year, from an injury, and so that was my first experience on a varsity team. And Coach Ray Hassing was an integral part of that, of my success that year, of staying confident in me, and who knows what type of athlete I would have been without having success that first season. But let's just say that there were a few shots that went up that probably shouldn't have gone up that season, but he stuck with me over that. So another memory I have, junior year, found out 2 weeks before the football season started that our starting quarterback, who was a good buddy of mine, Matt Klutz, was out for the season. And I was supposed to be a wide receiver, or that was the plan that year. And anyway, between finding that out and getting to the season, I know that the incredible coaching of Troy Cody and Matt Mahoney, plus the super talented team around me, we went on to have an undefeated regular season that year, and we're the first ever conference champs of the Southern Minnesota Lions Conference. And that is definitely a team that I will never forget, even though the year did end a little sooner than we wanted it to. Another thing about that team as well, just in my opinion, they were one of the best offensive lines and skill position players that we ever had. And a few of them I am honored to be with, part of this group with as well. Another one, a memory of mine before my junior year as well, I had never forget when I heard the news that we were getting this stud athlete from Iowa coming up. He was a really good basketball player and a runner, and that's all I really knew of him. But little did I know at that time how integral or what a part of my career that Jeff Jansen would have, and what an honor that was. And so I'll never forget, I had 2 awesome years with him in basketball and track, and both junior and senior year seasons ended sooner than we wanted to on the basketball side, but memories that I'll never forget. One memory that junior year was we had 5 teams in our subsection all ranked in the top 5 in state at one time, that ranking, whatever that was. But it showed the talent that there was in Southern Minnesota basketball at that time. A game that sticks out to me, senior year basketball, we were over in Blue Earth, end of the season, can't remember if it was the final game or not, but we ended up, during that game against Blue Earth was a hard battle. We got crushed by them at home earlier that season. And anyway, it was closing seconds. We were down by, I believe it was about 5 points. And full man-to-man court pressure, I think it was under a minute and a half left. And kids slipped on the floor from halftime. We blamed it on the snow cones that Blue Earth would allow on the court at halftime. But anyway, ball bounced right into my hands, put it in for a layup. We came down, I think we made a stop. I'll never forget driving to the basket, seeing Jeff in the corner, hit him for a wide open 3 to tie the game. We ended up going to 2 overtimes and won that game for a tie again in the conference championship with Blue Earth that year. And so anyway, those were couple of memories basketball-wise that I had, especially with Jeff and that team. It was a lot of fun that year. Then another memory. This one is more track and field related, but unfortunately, my junior year, I formed a stress fracture midway through the season or late into the season, so I wasn't able to participate in the state track meet that year. But our 4x8 team that I was a part of went on and won state that year, and so it just showed the depth of that program and how many good athletes we had in our track team. My senior year, we went back to state again as a 4x8 team, ended up breaking the old state record, but still got second place. So that was another memory of, track was one of those sports I was never, and still don't enjoy going out for runs, but I wouldn't trade that for the world. The memories I have in track and field are phenomenal. Coach Bonk and the legacy that he left there with that program and what that program was made it for me. And I owe him a huge thanks for that. Athletics gave me so much in high school, not just because I would go out and play a sport or the achievements that came along with it, but it was because of the relationships that I built and the camaraderie through teammates. I think of our core basketball crew of Matt Klutz and Reeve and Pyman and I and JJ later on. But then on the football side, we had Woobs and Abel, all those guys. Just an absolute blast to have those relationships through that. And the other thing I would tell anybody young that's thinking of getting into it is try to play as many sports as you can. As many as you possibly can. There was a time in high school where I was thinking that, if I could maybe just focus on this one sport, maybe I could get better. But looking back on that, all the other sports that I participated in made me the athlete I was, and I don't think I would have been as well-rounded of an athlete without those. After I graduated high school, I went on to Bethel University, where I played my freshman and junior year of basketball. Unfortunately, through some injuries there, I was not able to participate all 4 years. But then after college, I moved back home, and I am working with our family farm operation and have a beautiful wife and daughter. I apologize, I'm going to read a little bit on this one because I don't want to miss anything. But first off, my parents. You guys are the reason I had success in high school sports. To my dad, Kevin, you are an inspiration for me in how I want to teach or coach my children through their developmental years. You spent thousands of hours playing horse, rebounding, or just playing catch. Both you and Mom were there to support me, but also not over the top where it would create stress. I see parents today try to make everything about themselves and holding their children to incredibly high standards versus just encouraging them to go out and try as hard as they can and make sure they're having fun doing it. Before every varsity event, I had my mom, Mary. She would sneak a little handwritten note or card into my athletic bag so I could read that before competing. This was something I probably didn't appreciate enough at the time, but looking back, it was the most incredible piece of support and sense of calm I could get before competing. I never heard her once during the games, and I appreciated that, never yelling or saying discouraging things. Although I will say, she did tell me on occasion that if I ever got a technical foul in the game, she would come out and take me right out right at that second. Next, I'd like to thank my sister Angie. First, I would like to thank you for paving the way. The amount of extra shots I was able to get up because of I had to go to all of your events was invaluable. I was able to watch a great athlete and learn from you by doing so. Even though you couldn't make it to a lot of my events because of college, I really appreciated all the ones that you were able to make it to. Next, I would like to thank Bruce Klutz, Tim Hested, and Jack Von Bank. These three were instrumental in my development as a basketball player and just overall athlete at a young age. Bruce was my 7th and 8th grade basketball coach, and he would push us during the season and also off-season programs. Tim, I owe a lot of my fundamentals to you. You taught me and a lot of other kids how to shoot and dribble properly. Jack, you made me the overall athlete that I am, or that I was in high school. All of those workouts where I thought I was literally going to die gave me an incredible perseverance and an edge physically. Next, Troy Cody, my football coach. You pushed me and the team to not only become better football players, but also to be better men in life. Your intensity and love for the game is something that will always stick with me. Matt Mahoney. Coach Mahoney is the biggest reason I had any success as a QB. As I stated earlier, I was not supposed to be the quarterback, but with Bones' help and patient coaching, he molded me into the quarterback I was. I am so grateful for this and can honestly say I would not have been close to the player I was without you. Ray Hassing. Coach, I had 3 great years of memories with you. I appreciated your constant support and belief in me as a player. There were probably times early in my career where you could have changed the course that you had for me, but you always told me to keep shooting and keep my head up no matter what. I owe a lot of my basketball success and confidence in sports to you and your belief in me. I also want to mention the late, great Rod Heinrich. Rod instilled such a sense of calm confidence in me that no other coach was able to do. He didn't have many words to say, but whenever Rod said something, you better be listening because it was very important. Bob Bonk, thank you is just a drop in the bucket of student athletes that you have mentored over the years. You made track and field for me. I can honestly say I would have looked over or looked at other spring sports if it wasn't for the incredible man and program you had built. You knew that I wasn't a huge fan of running but loved to compete. Therefore, you would get the best out of me and your athletes. I will never forget the challenge of the 48-minute drills, hard easies, and other personalized practice plans you would have for some of us. But there is no doubt they were pivotal in making me the overall athlete I was. I would also like to thank my teachers, friends, and other adults that helped me on the way. There are too many to name, but my overall experience at FHS could not have been any better. Moving to a new school in the 7th grade can be a challenging event, but my experience was everything but. The support, love, and friendship I felt every day while attending Fairmont is something that I will never forget. I also want to thank all my teammates through my high school career. I have some of the fondest memories of my life with you guys. I was super blessed to be a part of some really good teams and surrounded by really good athletes that helped me a ton, or helped out a ton with my success. I had such a phenomenal group of core friends that were also teammates, which looking back on was incredibly special. Lastly, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee and all others who are involved in making this happen. I am truly honored and humbled to be part of such a special group. Thank you so much for this honor.
Oh, he's right. Here's the deal, Eric.
pretty much, oh, thank you. I think I got all my thanks on there on the video, so I won't prolong it. But thanks again for everybody that makes this night a huge success, and it's just really neat. I did not know what we were all walking into, but also thanks again to everybody that was able to be a part of this class. A lot of you I was able to participate with, which is even cooler, or watch growing up as well. So anyway, have a wonderful night, everybody. Thanks everybody for coming out, and thank you again.
All right, thanks again for coming. Hall of Famers, come on up here. We'll get a picture with you. Drive safe, enjoy some family time, and go Cardinals.